The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt, so get ready, nerds, because we're talking 80s video game movies. Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast, where we talk about 1980s movies about video games.
So they're technically movies about playing video games.
It's a very complicated genre, but we're going to break it down for you today.
Guess whose idea this was?
I am joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Vader is off doing some family business, so Tom is our stand-in today. Welcome, sir. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was really fun watching these movies. Really a trip down memory lane for me. So it was a good week for me.
I'm glad to have you here, man.
Oh man,
it's always a pleasure.
I wore a special shirt.
I see that. Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I was wearing this a while back, and this girl was looking at. Oh, Jude, you were there with the hostess, and she was like,
"Yeah, we went to a Violent Femmes concert."
Stockholm Syndrome. That's amazing.
Where did you get that shirt?
What's a Stockholm? I'm not joking.
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
she was real dumb.
She was real pretty and real dumb. It was like a perfect combination.
Yeah.
We went to a Thai restaurant before we went to a concert, and we were like, "Oh, what do you recommend? We've never been here before." And she was like, "Have you had fries? We have really good fries." And I was like, "I guess we'll get the fries."
Jude is also here. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I love your Valley Girl impression. So it's amazing. So good.
They were good French fries, though.
They actually were. They were good. They were called Thai fries.
Yeah. The food there was very good. Yeah,
she was dumb, but she was right.
Yeah.
Matthew Kadish is also here. Welcome, sir. This is your week, buddy.
Yeah, so I chose the movies for this week. I chose the theme, and it was basically just an excuse because I wanted to do The Last Starfighter, and I was like, what other movies kind of go with this? And so this was a real trip down memory lane because I remember watching like all these movies growing up and stuff like that. So it was fun to get to revisit all of them, and I think only one of the movies didn't really hold up from what I remember. So, it'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So the movies for this week, guys, it's going to be Wargames starring Matthew Broderick, The Wizard starring Adam Savage, and The Last...
Adam Savage.
Isn't it Adam Savage?
I mean, Fred Savage. Adam Savage is the guy from Mythbusters.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, very different guy.
The Ginger?
Yep.
Oh, I fucked that one up. Whoops!
Fred Savage, American Treasure. Fred
That's
Savage.
why we don't do the podcast live, everybody. Adam was like, he's such a poser.
I was just gonna say that.
It's Adam. Fuck. How did I get Adam?
Fred Savage.
Fred Savage.
In your defense, you hate anything with kids in it. So Fred Savage is not something you're interested in.
He is not an icon of mine.
No, for me.
The only movie I like him in is fucking Princess Bride.
Because he stays in bed the whole time. He doesn't do shit.
Because he may or may not die at the end. Like, he's dead, right? Good. Stupid kids.
Okay. I need to just start that off from the beginning.
I say you just keep that all.
No, we can't do that.
I like this energy. Just keep it going.
Okay. Fucking Fred Savage. Whatever. And then last is
Last Starfighter.
The Last Starfighter, who I don't know the main star from that movie
There's
either.
nobody.
Did you recognize anyone in that movie from another movie we have reviewed that we have the movie poster for? That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the chick is the chick from the Night of the Comet.
No shit?
Yeah.
Oh, she looks way
Catherine
different.
Mary Stewart. Oh,
Nice.
I love her.
Okay, cool.
I follow her on IG.
She's the only notable person in any way in that movie.
All right, so before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive super deep into War Games. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast, get some awesome merch in return, go to saltynerdstore.com. There you can get access to our limited edition Global Dynamics t-shirt that is in honor of the TV show Eureka. It's only available for about 2 months, and then it's going to disappear forever. So head over there, grab the t-shirt before it goes away, and help support the podcast. And also, if you want to know why we're referencing that, it's from our club members only section where we review classic sci-fi TV shows. The month of March is dedicated to Eureka, and we wanted to honor that show by making a t-shirt for it. So if you want to grab it, limited access, and don't forget, type the code SALTY in at the checkout for 10% off on your purchase. All right, first movie on our list, War Games, starring Matthew Broderick. Take it away, Jude. What's this movie all about?
1983, War Games, rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour 54 minutes. This had a budget of $12 million. What do you think this brought into the box office, Alex?
75 million.
Yeah, I was going to say 60. Yeah, 60 sounds right.
$124 million.
Whoa.
This was a hit.
This is before Bueller, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Good for him.
Yeah, this was actually Matthew Broderick's first movie.
Is his first ever movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah, him and Ali Sheedy. I don't think Ali Sheedy done anything before this either.
I don't think so either.
Because
Yeah.
this was before The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
This is like his, man, Broderick is so good.
I know.
In this heyday in like the 80s when he was freaking Broderick.
Mhm.
I mean, he's still good now. I seen him recently in a zombie movie. He was freaking hilarious.
I don't know, I saw that Godzilla movie.
Godzilla 1998?
Oh,
That movie was great.
Oh my God, Alex loves that movie.
It was a dinosaur.
Because everything looked like Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
All right, Jude, take it away.
Okay. Poor Matthew Broderick can't catch a break in biology class. Between arriving late and getting kicked out by shitty Mr. Liggett, it's no wonder he's failing. But who needs to study and pass exams when the dopes in the principal's office think that a new password is all they need to keep the grades safe? Ferris Bueller's up to his old tricks again, changing grades and hacking into the Department of Defense. He just wants to impress Ali Sheedy by switching her grade and tinker around with the Whopper, a computer that's definitely not a delicious cheeseburger. Thinking he's hacked into Protovision, a computer gaming company, he inadvertently starts World War III when he asks the computer Joshua to play global thermonuclear war. He's popping bombs off at Las Vegas, rude, Seattle, and a bunch of other major U.S. cities, and it's all good fun until the DoD shows up and throws him in the back of a van. Next thing you know, he's in Colorado in deep shit. 16-year-old high school student David Lightman is obviously a spy working for the Russians in cahoots to start a war. Only challenging the computer to a game of tic-tac-toe can prove his innocence and stop Joshua from unlocking the launch codes and turning the war simulation into actual war. Discuss.
You're real tongue-in-cheek with that. This is a very serious movie.
Listen.
Very serious implications.
I've never seen this movie before. This is my first watch.
That's
I
fine.
figured.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it as a kid. It was
No?
it was too old for me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like too mature for me. I mean, when it came out, I was 3.
I mean, it's also PG. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why you didn't see it. But you know, it's
You needed parental guidance.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies that, like, when you turn 15, like you're like, oh yeah, Wargames. I've heard of this.
See, like my perception of what this movie was is not at all what I got.
Oh,
Like-
what did you think it was
Ooh,
going to be?
good. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. So my never seeing it before. I've just, Matthew Broderick in that War Games movie from the 80s, right? That's like that. Okay. So I figured, honestly, my thought was he was completely Adam Broderick. Jesus, I can't get names right today. Matthew Broderick's character the whole time was just ignorant of what was happening. And I thought he was literally playing a video game on his computer that was somehow translating to the real world, where he was actually launching missiles and like causing a World War III. And he played the game to completion to the point where he like was a stalemate or something happened where it ended up being okay.
That's exactly what happened.
No. It's all a
first.
simulation. Like
It's all
he's
simulation.
Yeah, and he's aware of what's going on. He knows that the computer is playing this game. So like I thought for sure that he was just going to like spend the whole time in his house playing a video game against this computer, unknowingly causing freaking all kinds of havoc in the real world.
He goes from like Seattle to
Yeah, I know.
to
He globetrots for a while.
just back in the backseat of a car. Just here, we're just going back and forth.
You want 2 tickets to Paris? You got 2
Yeah.
tickets to Paris.
And then they're like, who are you going to Paris with?
Yeah.
Who are you meeting there?
So that was
Is it
my
your Russian handler?
that was my idea going into this movie, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised at how different it was than what my perception was all these years of being A and as actually being B. So I had a ton of fun with this movie. It was oddly on point for what's going on in the world right now, which
I
was
know,
a little
who knew
added,
when we picked it?
yeah, I added like a really weird layer to it when I'm watching it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. The first place he wants to bomb is Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, great.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, bro.
All 3 of these movies have Nevada references, which is super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. All weird. Like, why?
It's that West Coast California, the tri-state, right? California,
Yeah,
Nevada,
like,
Utah.
what is it, Wizard, they really want to go to Reno. This one, they want to bomb Las Vegas. And in Last Starfighter, the machine was supposed to go to Las Vegas.
Yep.
It's just weird that all 3 of these movies mention Nevada in some way.
It's interesting.
It is.
It's all part of our matrix.
Yeah.
It's all goddamn tied together.
Conspiracy Tommy's losing his brain.
Goddamn algorithms.
So, Kadish, why don't you tell me? We know you picked The Last Starfighter because I know you love that movie and you wanted to pick something in the same vein. So, tell me what made you think of War Games?
So this was a movie that growing up, it essentially started the whole like young kid hacker you know,
Trend.
like genre, I guess you'd call it.
Was there a hacker before this?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Basically, this movie came out just as computers were starting to get wide adoption.
83.
Yeah, and no one had ever made movies about computers before, and so like, just to give you like a little bit of context for this movie was so influential in the sense that like governments passed laws after seeing this movie.
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can believe it.
That's cool.
This was
Schools
very
stopped writing their passwords down.
well, it's super Skynet-y forward thinking. It really is.
Yeah. So basically, you know, the military was adopting computer technology, but it was so early on in the computer phase that like, you know, they didn't have like default passwords. It was just like you had to create a password. Otherwise, anyone could just access the system. And so like, you know, it was really easy to like break into computers back then. And when this movie came out, it was screened for Ronald Reagan up at Camp David. And Reagan was like, I love this movie, but it scares the shit out of me. Can we get like some legislation passed to make sure that like hacking is illegal? Because when this movie came out, like hacking wasn't illegal. And I don't think it was illegal until like the early 90s, which is when like Congress actually got up and passed a bill based off of what they saw in this movie.
Fucking Reagan, what a guy.
Yeah.
Banning drugs, computers.
What a dick.
What a dick.
Yeah. So like this movie actually like was the basis for all of our very early cybersecurity stuff that the government decided to do. And it's kind of funny because when they were making this movie, they wanted to, you know, take it tour of NORAD to try to see like what it looked like so they could build the sets for this movie. And, you know, obviously like they were like, oh, you can't tour NORAD because it's top secret. So they went out and they built like the set for NORAD, which had like all these huge screens in it and like this huge war room. And it's kind of funny because like after this movie came out, you'd have government officials who would take tours of NORAD and they're like, this isn't as impressive as I thought it'd be. And they're like, have you seen Wargames? They're like, yeah. It's like, yeah, we're not Wargames. and so like the director, John Badham, who made this movie, he's very proud of the fact that like his NORAD is way cooler than like the actual NORAD.
That's funny.
But like it is interesting the context at which like this movie was made because like no one knew anything about computers. And if you look at the technology,
It's super obvious.
Yeah, if you look at the technology that this movie has, like you actually have like the rotary phone that you put like the thing on. It's all based off of the tone.
Yeah, that was super cool.
She's like, the computer talks.
Oh, she was so freaking amazed that the little voice came out of the box. She's like, oh my God.
I thought she was going to kiss the speaker. Like, oh, you're so cute. Mwah.
This is 1983.
I don't know, but this is all new.
There was 4 channels on TV back then. And this kid's like hacking into NORAD.
It's pretty dope.
Love it.
Honestly, like this old school style of hacking where you're looking at just lines of code on a screen, that's probably the most accurate depiction of hacking since this 1980s. Because ever since then, they all go super stylized and they have like 17 screens. It's all like Matrix style.
It's all vertical now.
Yeah, or like Swordfish from what's his face?
The supercomputer Whopper in this movie, it's actually based off of the real supercomputer that the military was using. It that was called Burger, BRGR, and so like they just changed it to Whopper,
like a Burger King, like the Whopper.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Very tongue in cheek.
And it's kind of funny because like, you know, you watch this, you know, in 2022 and you see like all these huge actors and this movie has like a great cast to it. So like the opening scene where like we see like a missile silo, a young Michael Madsen shows up.
Unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at first, like Jude was like, is that Michael Madsen? I'm like, no.
Yeah, he was like, nope. And I was like, bullshit.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, I've been right about something. In the same room as Kadish?
But this movie also introduced a lot of like kind of computer lingo, like for instance, firewall. This is the first instance of the term firewall in regards to like a computer security thing being used in cinema. There's a great scene in here where you have like what's his name? I want to call Maury Chaikin and Eddie Deasden as these two like kind of like computer programmers who are like super nerdy and
Broderick's friends that he goes and sees.
He goes to them to learn about the back door.
Yeah.
And nobody, like, again, another computer term.
Quagmire over here. So
Right.
I want to mention something about this because like,
The back door?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm not like a computer. I don't know a ton about freaking computers. I know enough to use them. That's about it. when movies nowadays reference like, oh, I've got the key to the back door, blah, 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 in computer lingo, whatever, I've never really known exactly what that means. This is the first movie where they said, oh, a back door is basically a separate login that bypasses all of the security measures that the originator has in case he needs to get in to fix something and they can't get past their own security or whatever. Like, I don't know why, but for me, that was just a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, that's like the most simplest explanation I've ever heard. And I loved it. It was awesome.
Don't you love a good simple explanation?
I do.
It's like a real thing. If they overcomplicate the answer, they don't know what they're talking about either.
Yeah,
so this is like very early on. I mean, there's not a lot of bells and whistles. It's just, oh yeah, it's just a separate password. You can get into the back door.
Yeah, the actual writers of this movie, Lawrence Lasker and Walter Parks, they kind of befriended a lot of these early hackers to like learn about what's possible, like what can they do, and you know, that kind of translates to like all the computer learning that we're seeing in this movie, where basically they run Whopper through all these simulations.
Let me tell you, nonsense hacker movies would be a great week.
But
have you seen the net lately?
But these writers, you know, they became so well versed in the hacking scene that they went on to write another movie called Sneakers with Robert Redford.
I remember Sneakers.
Yeah.
Sneakers is good too.
Yeah, and so like that was another thing that they applied this knowledge to. But this movie was like so influential in the 80s. When it comes to like computers and stuff like that. And that's kind of like the weird thing for all these movies, is that video games and computers were so new in this era in which they were making movies, that it's just kind of interesting, like how far we've come, and like looking back on these things, we kind of snicker about like how rudimentary they are.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, dude. Broderick's freaking his bedroom with all the, I was like, I don't know what any of that shit does. I'm still confused.
All of which you could get at Radio Shack.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
do you remember Radio Shack?
Hell yeah, I remember Radio Shack.
I freaking loved Radio Shack.
They had all kinds of cool stuff in the back. You had no idea what it was, and the worst remote control cars you could buy.
You could literally build anything you wanted.
Oh yeah,
It was amazing.
You could definitely hack the mainframe.
Yeah.
So speaking of Radio Shack, John Badham, who directed this movie, originally the director who was set to do this was Martin Brest, but he kind of like fell out right before production started. So John Badham came in, and he directed the Short Circuit movies. And he also did Saturday Night Fever, Stakeout, Bird on a Wire, The Hard Way, Point of No Return. Like he has like a very impressive filmography, and this was like his first like big movie, I think. Before this, he was just directing TV movies. But whenever I think of Radio Shack, I think of Short Circuit too, because like,
Oh yeah.
Johnny Five breaks into a Radio Shack and gives himself an upgrade.
Oh, he upgrades it big time, man. He gets a mohawk.
And Ali Sheedy's in that too.
Is she really?
Oh yeah, dude!
Oh my God.
How gorgeous is Ali Sheedy in this movie?
She's so pretty, and everyone is so believable. And like, I love the chemistry between Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy, and they're just so like believable and cute and adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, she came off kind of thirsty for him though. Like I didn't find that very believable.
Well, he turned her off pretty hard with his like aggressive like crimes he was committing. And then the next day she fluffed her hair up a little bit.
They
She's
weren't
like,
illegal at that time.
That's a good point. Well, there's no such thing as illegal. It's just, there's no such thing as legal. Just illegal. So it's like,
But she didn't want to get caught and
Yeah.
then get in more trouble with the
But then-
switched grade.
but then she was upset about the D, and then she wait, oh, it's an A.
so there's
Oh,
a-
she-
Well, that was personal.
He catfished her with that.
I know.
Like, that was a good moment.
Yeah.
Oh no, he was.
could have said, I already changed it back at the
He
arcade.
did- no, he
But
played
was
it
like,
up.
Why don't you
Oh,
come
yeah.
over?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, he definitely knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
well, he is a genius.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
freaking Ferris Bueller, man.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah. And then after that, she was just like, well, now we're just buddies.
Yeah.
Is that what happened at the end? I didn't see that ending.
Well, their lives were on the line.
Oh yeah.
America was on the
It's
line.
like an aphrodisiac unto itself. Danger is the ultimate aphrodisiac.
In the original ending for the script, basically Matthew Broderick got hired by NORAD to be their computer expert after all this
He
happened.
should have.
Well, that probably is what would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the guy that figured it out, right?
Oh, he would become a government agent in a heartbeat.
He's working for the CIA right
Oh,
now.
yes,
He's listening to
100%.
this podcast. He's very upset.
Before it's even out.
He
Very
basically
upset.
became the assistant to the computer scientist that created Joshua, and then like he went on to like be in charge of NORAD.
Yeah.
You mean the
And
guy
he-
that faked his own death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was really easy back in like 1983.
Uh-huh.
Just
Oh,
like,
I
yeah.
agree.
I'm dead now.
You just don't
Yeah.
have a phone line, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, I guess he's dead."
Yeah.
I
And
think so.
you know who's out of a job? That shitty biology teacher that tells everybody
Okay,
he
listen,
failed.
listen.
That's a power move, though.
I'm watching this. Yeah, holds up the F in front of the whole class and says, "You don't pay attention to class, do you?"
And by the way, he gave the test back to everybody else. He was holding those.
Yeah.
For a moment to
make a
strike.
point.
Oh!
He was
I mean,
planning
teachers
that.
in the 80s were brutal.
They were ruthless.
Just slapping him. And
This guy in particular, I'm watching this movie and I'm sitting there, I'm going, this dude looks like he belongs in Sopranos. Like, he looks like one of the freaking Soprano, like, goons or whatever.
was he?
He kind of looks like he should be.
So in the scene that you guys are talking about, where like basically Matthew Broderick's kind of like staring down like a science teacher that he doesn't like, the teacher's asking the class a question. It's like, you know, what kind of organism reproduces without sex? And Matthew Broderick, he has this line where he's like, your wife.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a kind of like this funny gag in the script, but like when they were shooting it, the director hadn't warned the crew about, you know, what the punchline was. And so when Matthew Broderick said the line, the laughter you hear in the movie is the film crew
Production
cracking
crew?
up. Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Your wife?
That when I find out weird,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
that noise wasn't supposed to be there.
It's always funny when I find out like fun facts like this when like directors will purposely hold back information from the rest of just so that they can have a moment of like genuine whatever, whether it's like terror or like Ridley Scott did with the chest burster. He didn't tell anybody that was going to pop out of his chest.
Right.
And they just came on set and they said, okay, he's going to be sick for a minute. And then this freaking thing comes at him and they all freak out. That's genuine. Like, I love it when directors do that kind of stuff because it's so fun.
You know, we're watching it right now while we're talking, and you're talking about the genuine moments that like blew your mind in this movie. Okay, right now the dad is buttering a piece of bread. He's buttering this piece of bread for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, who the hell needs that much butter on a piece of white bread? And then he takes the corn and rubs it in the butter on the bread. Mind blown. Like
Talk
honestly,
about science.
holy shit! I never thought of that.
Jude, when she saw that, she was literally like, "That's brilliant."
It's brilliant. He's peppering it. He's just like, I've done this shit before.
That dude knows how to butter his corn.
my
Now we know
God.
where Matthew Broderick's character got his genius from.
Yeah.
Oh, genius.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His dad, he's a quiet guy.
Well, these boomer parents in this 80s movies
boomer
are
parents.
freaking hilarious.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
so clueless about everything, but they're just like, everything's great, honey. How you doing? Okay, yeah. This freaking teenage girl comes over to their house. What do you
Yeah.
want? I'm here to see, what's his name
She's
in the
all
movie?
sweaty.
David.
She's all sweaty.
I'm
like,
here to see David. And he's like, oh, he's upstairs in his room. Go ahead. Hey, have you ever, what do you ask her, like a Sudoku question or some
Yeah,
shit?
have you ever heard of the word tumulus?
Yeah.
Yes. It was such a weird.
Just doesn't give a shit.
It's a
But,
fun movie. It's a good movie.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
But I'm so glad that you brought up the butter scene because I'm sitting here like I don't give a shit.
It blew my mind. When
I didn't give a shit what was going on with the dialogue in that scene. I completely lost focus on the movie and I was watching. I'm
I
like,
was watching butter that bread forever.
before the camera even focused on the bread, I'm just watching. I'm like, why is he? He's got like an inch of bread, of butter on that freaking piece of bread. And then the camera finally like pans
Very
over.
important to the story.
Screw the rest of the movie. What is going on with that butter?
But then the punchline is that the corn on the cob is raw.
It was such a.
You can just taste the vitamins A and D.
Oh my God.
Oh, isn't it wonderful? It's so crisp.
Of course it's crisp. It's raw.
He's like, I got a vitamin D for you right here.
It reminded me of like a scene from Better Off Dead or something. Like that's the kind of shit that that his parents would do in that movie.
But it's something I do love about like, especially early 80s movies. It's really like a time machine. Like it's a time capsule.
For sure.
Like that whole raw food thing, that was a real movement.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. Like all the hippies were like, okay, everything needs to be raw and this and they had no idea what they're talking about.
And speaking of time machines, so like there's a scene where David gets arrested by like the DOD in this episode, and he's walking in front of the most 70s McDonald's I think I've ever seen in my life. Like it's all wood paneled and stuff.
The 7-Eleven.
Yes, the wood paneled 7-Eleven and
There's a plastic fry guy out for it.
I think I read somewhere that like the 7-Eleven and the insurance agency that's there is still in that like wood paneled building, but the McDonald's got upgraded. So like it's now a modern McDonald's. But I was looking at those buildings. I was like, man, there's nothing more 80s than those things.
Oh, dude, I had my basement in New Hampshire when I lived there was all that wood panel. The whole bottom basement was finished with that brown 70s wood paneling.
But do you remember
It's a
when
good
like
look.
It's a great look.
Do you remember when cars had that wood paneling too?
Oh, hell yeah.
do you remember when Pizza Huts were actually like huts?
Yes.
Like,
Hell
wood hut.
yes.
I talk about it all the time.
I mean-
it tasted better. They had the sit-down Pac-Man game.
Remember the,
Oh, yeah.
They had a salad bar.
remember the chandeliers over the tables?
Yeah, fancy.
They had the red cups. They had all the
Oh,
drinks.
yeah,
They
the
still
red
have
cups.
the red cups.
Oh my
Do
god.
they?
Yeah.
I haven't been to a freaking Pizza Hut in forever.
Well, no. Why would you? It's not 1987. Why would you go there?
they're no longer like sit down pizza.
No,
Hut
no.
restaurants.
No.
It's
I
all- it's
remember
all
when they were,
delivery
though,
based.
Yeah, there was one next to my parents' house. We used to go there a lot. It's a Mexican restaurant now. Also fairly good.
That sounds good.
That's a fairly good Mexican restaurant, actually.
All right, that's some nostalgia right there, man.
But yeah,
Unlocked.
but that's one thing. I mean, because all these movies are trip down memory lane for me, big time. Like I this one not so much, but the other two big. I mean, it's just nostalgia slapping me in the face, and
Yeah.
just like member berries left and right.
Aw.
And but it's not. I mean, it's not meant to be like a hey. Like the 70s show.
Right.
Like it's not the 70s. They're making fun of the 70s. This is really the 80s, and it's like early 80s, like basically still the 70s. It's fun.
And what's interesting about this movie is that even though it's kind of dated in the sense that like, you know, our technology has advanced so much, like this is really kind of a time capsule because when they were making this movie, like this was the technology.
Yeah.
And they don't say like, this isn't like a sci-fi thing where it's like in the year 1997, like this stuff is happening. It's at the genesis of like the home computer revolution. And this was like what the technology really was. And
And
this
they
was
got
the
it right.
level of adoption. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's
It's confusing and scary.
well-
No one knows what it does.
well, it holds up though.
Oh,
is
yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like we can watch this movie, you know, like decades after it came out, and still be like, you know what, this is a good movie, and and the lame computer technology doesn't take me out of it because
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what it was. It's almost
Yeah.
like watching a historical piece or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think. I
Yeah,
mean,
very much,
It's
yeah.
weird to say this, but now it's a period movie.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you're,
yeah, yeah.
you're watching it, you're like, oh yeah, that's all legit.
Historical documents.
Historical document.
Anything pre-cell phone freaks me out.
Yeah.
Like they can't just Google map this?
He had to hack into a payphone to call for bus money.
Oh,
Yes.
the MacGyver aspect of this movie is freaking so cool.
Oh, I think
he knew some shit.
electronics used to be far simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and if you knew a little bit, you knew a lot.
Right.
And then back then, I mean,
Like he's sitting there and he's away from home and he has to call his girlfriend he's trying to get a plane ticket somewhere. He's trying to get himself
He's trying
out.
to get bus fare back home.
That's
from
what- yeah.
Colorado.
it's not even his girlfriend.
That's just some chick.
That's just some chick.
I
He's got her number.
Right. Memorized.
Yeah.
But what I love
Hey,
about
He's
it.
really
a
good with
bus-
electronics. He probably has a lot of numbers memorized.
Well, what I loved about it. What were you trying to say, Jude?
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna come over on
She's
Thick
no
Show
one
TV.
special. Yeah.
What I just love the aspect of it where like he's sitting there, he's got the payphone in his hand, he unscrews the microphone at part of it, undoes it, like touches two wires together, and it freaking gets a dial tone so he doesn't have to pay. I'm like, that shit. I love that stuff.
I've seen that trope and I've seen hot wiring in many movies.
I was
don't
just
think
gonna
either one
say,
actually do anything.
I've seen actual hot wiring being done, and it's pretty similar.
Yeah. Well, those old payphones, all they did was they worked off of dial tones.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if there was
It
a
was all
certain
tones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was all tones. So if
yeah.
you could mimic the tone or trick it to think that it heard a tone,
I've
you could
seen
do whatever
that.
you
Yeah,
want.
I've seen that.
I mean, there's a scene in this movie where Matthew Broderick escapes from like being held in this, kind of secure.
You mean he escaped
clinic.
from NORAD?
Well, so like there's a scene where he's trapped in this room and he gets the guard to come over and he records the tone from like the keypad that the guard uses to unlock the door. And then he like replays that tone into the lock, and that tone unlocks the door and he's able to sneak out that way. And so like, you know, his level of MacGyverness,
Yeah.
to use Alex's term,
He's
is
way more tech savvy than anyone else in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
anyone
yeah.
in the military.
Yeah.
even, you know.
Real quick, shout out to Art to the Icky. I just read this. He's in the chat right now. It says the phone hacking with tones is called phreaking. PHREAKING.
That's fun.
Freaking dope.
Freaking dope is what that is. Thank you, R2. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a mashup of phone and hacking. So phone hacking, freaking.
That's awesome.
That's
Cool.
fun.
Would you like to play a game?
I love that
so
shit, dude. It's so cool.
The guy who played the scientist that faked his death was the one who was doing the voice for Joshua. They,
Oh, no
they
way.
just modulated it.
Oh, that's cool. Let's talk about that dude. How he became a recluse, like paleontologist.
Uh-huh.
That was the weirdest
That
part.
was the weird, like the most random hobby to pick up
I told you they could fly. See?
He's got
You didn't believe me.
He's got a pterodactyl drone just flying around.
It's fun.
I mean, I was nerding out because I'm a freaking dinosaur fan, but I was like watching it, I'm like, what? Well, like, of all the things that this like super intelligent scientist who created the computer system could do, he ran off into an island and got like real deep into dinosaurs.
He didn't have anything else to live for.
Well, also,
I have a feeling that if you were financially independent, you might do the same thing.
well, didn't his son love dinosaurs, and so it was kind of like a way to stay connected to his dead son.
Oh, I didn't pick that up. Maybe, yeah.
Every 5-year-old loves dinosaurs. It's like him like turning his life to dump trucks. Like, oh, he loved the garbage man. So
I drive dump trucks and love dinosaurs. So I'm just a big 5-year-old.
Nailed it.
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but I want to talk a little bit about Dabney Coleman.
Oh, I love Dabney Coleman.
Yeah, like if there was ever like a favorite like villain character in the 80s, it was played by Dabney
I
Coleman.
know. He's still alive.
Wait, who's
And
Dabney
he's
Coleman?
still rocking the mustache.
Yeah, you guys know I'm terrible with names. Can you give me some?
Who's Dabney?
I'm surprised you don't know who Dabney Coleman is. He was
You really? You don't?
I'm terrible with names.
he was the boss in 9 to 5 with
Yeah.
Dolly Parton.
I
Yeah.
never saw 9 to 5 with Dolly
Alright.
Parton.
So like in this movie,
Was he in RoboCop? I saw that.
so in this movie, he's the guy with the mustache who says like we need to switch over from the human people to the computers in order to figure out how
doesn't
how
help.
to go past human error.
You showed me a picture of a 90-year-old man. Show me something I might recognize.
That's what he looks like in the movie.
When does he show up in the movie?
Which guy is he?
He's the main guy
Oh.
trying to find Matthew Broderick.
He's the one who interrogates him in the
Yeah.
office,
The
right?
fat-
Okay,
the
I got
fat
you.
general?
No. The guy with the mustache and the curly hair who
Not the guy from Ghostbusters.
you don't remember him?
I remember the guy. I don't remember what he looks like. I don't
Okay.
remember him in anything else.
He's-
Oh yeah, he's in everything.
Yeah.
It's like, have you watched a movie from the 80s?
Yeah.
Because he's the bad guy in almost every one of them.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. What were you going to say about him?
I just want to say like how much I love seeing Dabney Coleman in movies, like especially like 80s movies, because he was like the old evil middle-aged white guy in every like kind of especially like seminal movies, like when you're growing up and like you're watching movies about kids doing like incredible stuff. Dabney Coleman was always like the guy who was there to stop the kid.
Yeah.
And,
Did you watch Boardwalk Empire?
No.
I watched 2 seasons of that, I think.
Yeah, he was the Commodore in Boardwalk
The
Empire.
80s, the 80s was just so good with a thing that we don't really do anymore, and it's like the character actor.
Yes.
We don't get character actors anymore. And in
They're
the 80s,
few and far between.
in the
Everybody's trying.
80s, I mean, it's every movie has the same 20 people in it. and they
Nowadays,
just put them in different hats. And
Nowadays, I think actors are so focused on
look at her run.
branding themselves and becoming famous
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they don't necessarily want to disappear into every role. They want to be somebody that you recognize. The most recent one I can think of is like Daniel Day-Lewis. He's very famous because he's very good, but in every movie he plays a completely different person.
Well, he's very method.
Yeah.
That dude's insane.
He's
like,
very
He's
great.
like Christian Bale. He's
Well,
literally
Well,
insane.
another
a lot
one
of
that we
actors don't like to be kind of typecast is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Sure.
Because it kind of limits the type of roles. But like if you find an actor who fits a role really well, then you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to cast him in this character archetype all the time.
Well, Harrison Ford played the same character in just about everything, but it worked.
But he's Harrison Ford.
He's Harrison. I mean,
Well,
when he
he
was Han
was leading
Solo,
man, though.
when he was Indiana Jones, when he was Patriot Games, I mean, it all made sense, and it was like basically the same action. It was the same guy.
He's
Like,
the
he didn't mix
thinking
it up.
man's action hero.
Yeah, he didn't mix. Yeah, he wasn't the buff guy. He wasn't Schwarzenegger.
No.
No.
Maybe that's why he's so bitter.
So it's that stupid earring he wears.
Freaking Harrison Ford's earring triggers Tom.
Oh, it does. It's awful. Every time I see it, I'm like, what are you trying to prove, old man?
He's had that thing in his ear longer than you've been alive, bro.
Probably true.
All right, what else do we want to say about this? This movie is really freaking good, man.
It's a good
I'm
movie.
so
Really
glad I
fun.
watched it
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Anytime like there's a movie where there's like an arcade scene, I just get flashbacks.
Yeah.
to, like,
Oh
to
my
those
God,
things.
tell me about it.
I always want to see like Elijah Wood show up and play like a video, like he did in Back to the Future 2. Like that was his first movie.
Elijah Wood wasn't even born.
I know, but
when this movie
like
came
every
out.
time I see an arcade scene, I'm always looking for that kid. Where's that kid? Where's Elijah Wood at with the freaking strainer on his head, just sitting there freaking playing a
The
game?
strainer.
I'm really glad I got to watch this movie. It was a ton of fun. It aged exceptionally well, especially with the modern politics that are going on
Yeah.
at this moment. It had like an extra layer of like, ooh, shit, it was really not a layer of shit,
Yeah,
but like a
and-
layer of, oh, cool.
And it was almost kind of like a Star Trek style ending where basically Matthew Broderick saves the day with his brains.
Yeah.
It's not like a big thing. And when you're watching those big screens in NORAD, as Josh was trying to like, you know, kind of game out the different scenarios, and he realizes like, you know, no matter what, everyone loses. It's one of those weird climaxes where like it's mentally fulfilling, even though it's not like blow them up action style stuff. It's just like it's very rare.
Piece.
Yeah, it's very rare to get a climax to a movie nowadays that's all about like the mental
It's very
resolution.
cerebral. Yeah, very.
Of the story.
There's not much action in this movie. Not really.
No. I want to bring attention to one scene that I thought was ludicrous, absolutely crazy, and also probably unintentionally funny. So when they all had the impression that there was nuclear bombs coming out of the sky, they had to get to the bunker before it hit, right? There was on a countdown. They're in the Jeep. There's two people in the back.
Oh, I know
There's
you're talking
the driver.
about. Oh, yeah.
They're like, just ram the gate. He drives through the gate and he doesn't even bother to hit the brakes. He's like, you know that car up there? That's going to stop me. And he just freaking slams that bitch straight into the car. The Jeep almost flips over and they all just get out and they're like, everybody good? All right, run.
That Jeep wrecks too. Like, yeah,
gets
oh
fucked
yeah.
up.
Well, so originally,
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my God, are they okay?
no, that scene that you're talking about. So originally, like they were supposed to like ride the Jeep all the way into NORAD, but that was an actual car accident that happened during the shooting.
I can believe it because that shit was believable.
No airbags in the 80s either.
Yeah, and the director, like he was like, I kind of like this. I'm going to keep it in. So like he had them get out of the car and like run the rest of the way. But that was originally not supposed to happen. Like the impact was just like an actual car accident. Because when they ran through the gate, like they lost control and they couldn't stop.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Were they okay? There was 4 people in that thing. What happened to the extras?
I mean, they were stunt people, so nobody cared.
It's like a 1935 Army Jeep.
It was,
And it's like,
dude.
It's like hit
No
that thing,
brakes.
It's like 30 miles an hour. Just bam. It flips over.
It does.
And the next thing, like.
And in the 80s, there were no safety standards or anything.
Oh
so
my
nobody
Hell
cared.
no.
God, that's terrifying. Genuinely, I'm worried about the people who did that. 'Cause
They're
they-
fine.
Yeah. I mean, the 80s were wild. You could just like put your kid on your knee and smoke a cigarette at the same time while you're driving.
While you're driving the
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
Yeah, put sharp glass in your eye.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh
fine.
man,
You could let your kids drive you home if you were
Dude,
too drunk.
listen.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
you're 9. God, come on, I'm wasted. Come on.
Yeah.
just a
You
gas.
gotta learn sometime, kid.
It's pretty easy. Okay.
There's times where I envy that a little bit because I've done road trips and you've got your kids freaking strapped into like a 5-point harness in the back seat and they're like, I need to move. My ass is literally numb. I miss the days when you could have a freaking station wagon with 3 kids in the back just playing with their dinosaurs
Yeah.
and shit. You know, it was so much easier to
One
go
seat-
from point
one
A to
seat's
point B.
facing backwards.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Man, I miss those days.
Yeah. You have 3 kids back then. You just hope at least one of them survives.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, that's
One.
what you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kept having them, hoping one of them is like,
That's why nobody has 3 kids anymore, except for this guy.
yeah, just keep having them. One of them is what, Hollywood kid? Like eventually, right?
Condoms work. Be safe, kids.
Plan B is only 97% effective.
That's why you take 2.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, everything I learned about Plan B, I got from Road Trip.
All right, let's do final thoughts on Wargames. Take it away, Tom. What do you got for us?
It was a pleasure to be able to rewatch this movie again. It holds up. It's really fun. It is a good time capsule movie because it's honestly, I mean, it's right at that time when technology is becoming everywhere. And no one here in the movie understands it. And people at the time had no idea what was going on. So it's just fun to watch like the old tech, see how it goes. It's a really forward-thinking movie for the time as well. Like this is something you would expect later, 90s maybe, you know,
Yeah.
when computers are actually doing something. But yeah, it was fun all the way through. I mean, I highly recommend this movie. I mean, this is a 4 out of 5 star movie. This is really fun. Yeah, there's not a lot of action. There's no CGI.
No.
Even practical effects. Apparently, they weren't even practical effects. It was just a car accident that they filmed.
Extra half star.
Yeah, all the monitors in NORAD, they didn't make monitors that big back in the 80s. And so
Yeah, I
it
can't
was all
imagine.
rear screen projection and stuff.
This was game changing.
Yeah, this was incredible.
I mean, we had a 32-inch TV in the whole house back in those days. Maybe probably smaller in those days. And that was the one TV, and it had wood paneling on
yes.
it.
Yeah.
And it
Remember
had
the wood paneling
it had
TV?
knobs.
Big dial.
Yeah, that was this
Dude,
time period.
I had that shit until like 1998.
Yeah, that's what
We were not rich.
Oh, no. I think my parents were actually fine my whole life. They just told me we were poor.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's my asshole parents. They keep buying stuff now. They're retired.
They were broke your whole life, and then
They were broke my whole
and then when
life.
you move out, they're all of a sudden like millionaires.
They're like, we're going on another cruise.
Yeah, no, that's not a joke.
I met his parents one time. They're always on vacation.
Always on vacation.
My dad recently retired like 2-3 years ago. They've never traveled anywhere growing up. I've never been outside the country. The minute he retires, they're freaking globetrotting. They went to Italy last year.
Oh, yeah.
Middle of a pandemic. We're going to Italy.
Yeah, my dad retired after my mom, and the first thing they did was summer in Europe.
Freaking boomers, bro.
They just went to Europe for a summer.
I remember that. You were watching their house.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, Alex, as soon as your kids are grown out the door, you're going to have so much more disposable income.
Holy shit.
That's true.
Can you imagine?
That's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
All right. Jude, what's your final thoughts on War Games?
I agree with everything Tom said.
Did Tom give it a rating?
Oh, did you give it a
I
rating?
did 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Okay,
Totally,
cool.
totally worth seeing. It's not going to blow your mind, but it is a good movie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's so much fun to rewatch. I haven't watched this in so long, and it's just so fun to look back on how young Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy were, it really translates the anxiety of the moment, and you're like, oh shit, it's gonna get their code.
We're freaking
We gotta
reliving
get
that shit
there.
right now, too.
Yeah, and it really makes you feel what it's intending for the viewer to feel, and it was so much fun watching it. This is a 4 Whoppers out of 5 for me.
Nice. Whoppers. Kadish, what do you got, boy?
All right. So, yeah, I mean, this movie, it holds up. It stands the test of time. It's a really good movie. Ali Sheedy's gorgeous in it. Matthew Broderick's a lot of fun. Dabney Coleman as the bad guy. I love it. Everything about this movie works. And you know, it's such an influential movie just in terms of like, you know, current laws about cybersecurity, hacking, things of that nature. This was the first time that the kid hacking into a government computer plot was really used, and that kind of became a trope for like other movies and stuff like that. It's just like a really good, solid, well-made, well-written movie. And, you know, it's not very action heavy, but it gets tense, and it gets like, you know, like you're sitting there, especially like nowadays where it's like, yeah, the threat of World War III is back. And so you can understand like the paranoia and how afraid like people were, you know, back in this time period, because it just cycled back around again with Russia again and all that stuff. So like, you know, watching this movie, you can understand like the stakes that are there. And it's just like, it's one of my all-time favorites. It's a classic in my opinion. I give it a good solid 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, my first time viewing, I was blown away. I'm so happy that this thing lived up to the amount of hype that I've heard about it over the years. I know it wasn't what I expected. Just my assumptions about what this movie were completely wrong, and that was totally fine, because what it was amazing. And I had a ton of fun watching it. Everything holds up. I love the technology. I love how savvy Matthew Broderick's character is in this movie. It's believable because he's 17. He's not quite an adult, but he's old enough to be savvy about the type of things. Like, he's into computers. I believe that this kid knows more about the computers than these old farts do. Like that's totally believable.
Yeah.
It holds up. Everything's great. The boomer parents are freaking hilarious. The bread buttering scene is amazing. I could not get it. I almost rewound it to watch that scene again because it was freaking hilarious. Just buttering that bread. And now learning that scene with the Jeep was like, just
oh my God.
I guess we're going to keep it in. Like, that's even more.
Keep rolling.
Just go.
You got that, right? Because we're out of Jeeps now.
We're out of Jeeps.
That's the only one we had. It's incredible, man. It's easily 4-star general out of 5 movie for me. I don't even know what would be keeping it from being a 5-star. I would say it's probably damn near close. I can't think of anything I don't like.
Split the difference. 4.5.
4.5.
I can poke holes in it if you want me to. So that's why it's a 4 out of 5.
Like plot holes?
Yeah, there's weird things about it.
Like the traveling, going from like town.
The traveling is weird.
Yeah.
The president is never in the loop. It's just.
Have you seen our president?
Well, this was what was 83? Was that?
Well, it was
Carter?
Reagan.
Was that Reagan?
No, in fact, they have pictures of Reagan throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Do they?
But the fact that like the general's like, DEFCON 1. Just bomb everything. No one checked it. Yeah, fuck it. Go.
I love the general in this movie. Like she's just sitting there like doing chewing tobacco.
He's got a whole.
He's got a bag of that shit. Like he's from the Sandlot.
And then when he fucks with that tour group, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Just kidding. Just joshing you, lady.
JK guys, JK. That'll catch on. Like 40 years. That'll be funny.
So he shoves this grip of tobacco in his mouth, right? And he's sitting there and he's just making these freaking Texas 4-star general calls. Bomb the shit out of those goddamn commies. Like that shit. So I loved it. It was awesome. But then there was another scene like later on where his chew is gone, but his teeth are just all fucked up. And I was like, that's legit. Yeah. So even the goofy things about this.
Yeah, you can poke holes in. I mean, you can poke holes in any movie, but it doesn't come to the front. And I had to like sit here and point it out for anybody in this room to be like, oh yeah, that was weird.
Okay, I'll give you this. So all right. So it's a 4-star movie because there's one scene I do remember going like, how is that even happening? They're giving like public tours inside this like super secret national defense program.
And they're screwing with them.
And Broderick.
See, we're fun guys.
And Broderick escapes through an air vent and then just jumps in with the tour group and goes away and nobody notices. Like the level of security at the super secret military base is just trash.
You mean at NORAD?
Yeah. Yeah. So 4-star. Okay, 4-star.
There's little dumb movie things, movie devices to make the movie plot line go along.
Gotcha.
And I mean, if you really think about it, that does okay. But I mean, don't worry about it.
Still, damn good.
It's really fun. It's
damn
a really
good movie. Yeah, damn good movie. I'm so glad you picked it because I've never seen it before. I've always wanted an excuse to watch it. I just never had one until now, and I'm like, freaking. Damn it, this is awesome.
I haven't seen it in years, so yeah, it was great.
But that's it. That's our final thoughts on Wargames. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Next up on our list is
The Wizard.
The Wizard. Get ready for the freaking mountain of salt I have for that movie. All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast and become an exclusive member of our club, go to saltynerdclub.com. That is where you're going to get access to an absolute mountain of content. You get 4 exclusive podcasts every single month. We are dedicating to classic sci-fi TV shows. The month of March is dedicated to Eureka. Next month, we're going to be talking about Stargate Atlantis. So jump into the club membership. We do an absolute ton of stuff for our club members. We love hanging out with those guys. We have special chats in our Discord that are members only as well. And if you ask them, if you head over to our Discord app and just ask them, is it worth the $5? I guarantee you they will all tell you a resounding yes.
Yeah, we have a really interesting back catalog of shows in the members area.
Yeah. There's some gems way back in the day that we put out there because we were like, we can't release this. This will get us demonetized. So we gave them to the club members.
and the $30 members get access to all of our outtake videos, which is some of our best stuff, especially when Vader's involved.
Oh yeah, we go off the rails sometimes. And so there's many different tiers. If you can spring for the $30 tier, we'd absolutely love it. You guys get some special perks once in a while.
Get a lot of special stuff.
Yeah, a lot of special stuff for the $30 tier. But if you just want to do the base model $5 tier, you get access to a lot of content and also for our Discord members as well. So
we've done Foundation, we've done
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Doctor Who, Eureka. We're doing Stargate Atlantis.
We're gonna do Battlestar Galactica eventually. Like they're pretty much every TV show that people love out there, we're eventually going to hit up.
Yeah, and if you're this kind of nerd, we also do trivia for our patron members once a month.
That's right. There's a lot of value in it, guys. We'd love the support. So thank you guys very much. For those of you who have already signed up, we appreciate it. All right, the next movie on our list is The Wizard, starring Fred Savage.
And Christian Slater.
And
Beau Bridges.
Dude, there's so many people in this. It's so great. It's got both 80s dads in this movie. It's so awesome.
Loathe this movie so much.
It has both 80s dads and they're both Fred Savage dads. And they're not gay. They're just dads.
Just horrible dads.
Just horrible dads.
Okay, Jude, take it away. What is this movie all about?
1989, The Wizard. Rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour, 40 minutes. This had a budget of $6 million. What do you think this brought into the box office?
Oh, shit.
I hope it bombed.
Why don't you go first, Tom?
I'm going to say $100 million.
Okay.
What?
Alex?
Oh, yeah.
10.
$14 million.
$14 million!
It doubled its budget,
1.21 gigawatts.
Is this not a good movie?
This movie is atrocious.
I got so many stories about when this movie came out.
God, it made me literally angry to watch this movie.
Me too.
Oh, the entire time we're watching it,
She
Jude,
texted me upset.
I did.
the entire time we're watching, Jude's just like, I hate this movie. I hate
Oh,
this
Jude,
movie.
why
I
didn't you
hate this
text
movie."
me?
I didn't want to ruin it.
Oh,
I don't care if I ruin shit for these two. From now on, I should have known. I should have known kids and movies. Alex is going to hate it too.
yeah. All right, take it away, Jude.
All right.
Hated it.
Shitty parents, Beau Bridges and...
Is that really how it starts?
Shut up. Shitty parents, Beau Bridges and the remarried Christine Bateman, split up after the death of their daughter, which their son Jimmy witnessed. Jimmy, suffering from the trauma of watching his twin sister drown, no longer speaks unless it's to say California, the place he keeps trying to walk to from Utah. Jimmy has two half-brothers that live with Beau Bridges, 12-year-old Fred Savage and 17-ish-year-old Christian Slater. When Jimmy's shitty mother and bully stepfather send him to a completely unsupervised institution, Fred Savage breaks him out and they go on the run to California. The piece of shit Batemans hire a bounty hunter to bring Jimmy back. But not Fred Savage. Fuck that kid. Beau Bridges jumps in his lawn care truck with Christian Slater to find the boys themselves. Fred and Jimmy meet Haley, another delinquent youth on the run, and they devise a plan to hustle people at video games along the way to California. They enter Jimmy in the video Armageddon at Universal Studios, where he makes it to the finals. But just before the final round, all the piece of shit adults show up, and hijinks, kidnapping attempts, and Benny Hill quality chases ensue. Discuss.
It's a great movie.
There is nothing good about this piece of trash movie.
Oh my God, it's awful.
It's fucking horrendous.
Every adult in it sucks.
Every child in it sucks.
Yes.
All of the video games suck.
You know, Lucas was pretty cool.
Lucas was an ass.
had a
I
power
love
glove.
the power glove.
Oh my God. And he tried to cheat
He didn't cheat. You guys suck.
because he couldn't take Jimmy on his own.
There's literally like, okay, I've talked about this 1.5 million times. I'm just gonna freaking reiterate it again. When you put kids in movies, you have to make them do kid shit.
They're playing video games the whole time.
No, they're escaping and buying freaking bus tickets to who knows where with no supervision. Oh yeah, hey,
They want a bus ticket to St. George.
8-year-old boy and 13-year-old girl. Yeah, I'll sell you a bus ticket for $200. Oh, okay. Let me go hustle some 40-year-old men playing video games to get the money.
Okay, we have
1989.
to start earlier than this because Fred Savage breaks him out of an institution,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then 5 seconds later they say they were seen boarding a truck. Like,
thank you.
Who the fuck didn't stop them?
Who's the fucking driver of the hostess truck?
He don't care.
There's 2 kids eating his inventory in the back seat,
You
and
don't
it's
even
just
have
driving
a CB in your truck to be like, hey, there's a couple of minors in the back of my
They
truck.
didn't even
eating
wipe their
everything.
mouths off.
Katie's just gonna lose his shit. Do you want to set this up a little bit before I just destroy it?
What?
Sure.
I told you everything that happened.
No, but
that's
we're
a
talking
fair
about the
stab.
hostess truck. Nobody knows what I just. I hate this movie so
They
much.
break
So
out of the
much fun.
institution.
There's so much fun in this
and
movie.
There happens to be a delivery of snack cakes, which is that what you're serving people in this institution?
Yes.
It's parked out front. So Fred Savage and Jimmy hop in the back of the truck and they just eat Hostess Twinkies the way to the next stop, and then they get out and they just start walking. He's got a skateboard.
Because the hostess truck delivery route takes him from freaking some insane asylum all the way to Timbuktu,
yeah,
Utah.
close to the mountains.
God damn.
It was the last stop on his delivery run.
Doesn't make any sense.
There was
It makes all the sense.
there was only one hostess guy, and he
was
had
rural.
a 3-state route.
Yeah, it was rural.
It's a tri-state hostess guy. What the fuck? And he doesn't know there's kids in his back seat. And the bounty hunter's like, oh, they were last seen leaving the insane
Oh my
asylum in a
God.
hostess
Let's
truck.
talk about this fucking psychopath of a bounty hunter.
Yeah, that guy has sex with kids.
Oh, that dude's a
For sure.
pedo.
Oh, for
I heard
sure.
he touched her breast.
Oh,
I heard that too.
that was the only part of the movie that I
as
liked.
soon as he walks
like that
up,
Yeah, right out.
No,
Wait
so
a
hold
minute.
on. Stop.
Wait a minute.
Stop. Stop.
Right for the pool
There's a
scene.
part of the movie where he gets accused of doing something, and the girl's friends, the big trucker dudes, come out and say, I heard you did something, and they beat the shit out of him.
And you said you liked it.
every time.
That's my favorite part.
Every time the bounty hunter is about to kidnap Lucas, the girl, I forget her name. Haley. So Haley just like points at him and yells, that man touched my breast. And so like everyone just pounces on him and Lucas gets away. She does it like 2 or
which
3
is
times.
the only time anyone in this movie gives a shit about anything happening to kids.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the amount of like hitchhiking that like underage kids are doing in this movie is kind of disturbing. Then again, it was the 80s.
There's a scene where they hitch a ride on the back of a freaking cow truck.
Yeah, they steal their money.
And they're sitting there and freaking Adam Savage, Fred Savage was sitting there going like, how much money do you have? And they're counting and they have like maybe $87 total between them.
And this guy screeches to a stop and he's like, we gotta jack those kids for this money.
So like Haley is going off and on about how she understands truckers and how there's like a code for truckers. And the people who are driving this truck just have a pickup truck. They're not actually truckers. And so like
they're moving a bunch of cattle.
When he sees like them counting their money in his rear view mirror, he's like, oh, that's a lot of money. And so like him and his buddy decide to basically steal all these underage kids' money.
And then they leave them on the side of the road.
They rob them and leave them on the side of the road for $80.
Yeah.
What?
That is the price of 3 kids.
Maybe he had no bucks. And
He
now
was
has
driving a
87
truck
bucks.
with like 7 cows in the back. You couldn't sell a cow?
Well, that's not liquid assets, is
Those
it?
might not be his cows.
It's an NFT. Might as well be an NFT.
He probably stole those cows too.
It's an NF cow.
I'm just the savagery of that whole situation where they're just like, he just peeks out of the corner of his eye. Oh, I see a pile of cash. I'm going to rob these kids and leave them on the side of the road.
The Utah highway cattle thief. That's what he's known for. Yeah, you know him from town to town. They tell tales.
This movie is full of those moments where I'm just like,
So hold on. let me talk about
Don't
this
you
movie
apply
for just a
logic to
second.
this.
I told you he was going to do this.
No.
What you don't understand is...
So this is basically like an hour and a half Nintendo commercial.
Yes.
This is what it
very
was
much.
intended to be.
Oh, yeah.
And around the time this movie came out, like Nintendo was like the king of like the home gaming market. The big draw for this movie was we were going to get our first sneak peek at Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
And that was a huge deal back then because like Super Mario Brothers was like the main game that everyone played. The second Super Mario Brothers wasn't all that good. Like a lot of people didn't like it. And so like there was a lot of hype. And there's actually scenes in this movie, and I remember this, where like there were these call centers that you could call up and get video game tips from, because like the internet wasn't a thing. So like you call up, the number from the back of your Nintendo Power magazine, and you'd be like, hey, I'm stuck in this level. Like, how do I get out? And they'd actually have people there to like kind of walk you through the video game.
I saw a whole documentary about those guys a few months back, actually. Yeah. It's freaking interesting.
But I mean, like this was a time like I had a subscription to Nintendo Power
Yeah,
magazine.
me too. Oh, yeah.
And I'd read it like every month.
Oh,
and in fact, when you went to go see this movie, they gave you these little things. They were called Pocket Powers. And they were like these tiny pocket-sized Nintendo Power magazines that you could like read about like Super Mario Brothers 3 from.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so like this movie was pitched basically as the Karate Kid, but with video games. And obviously like somewhere along the line that went totally out the window.
I was thinking like a young Forrest Gump with video games.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
But the whole point of it is that like Nintendo wanted this movie because like it was basically a commercial for like their Power Glove for their video games and all that stuff. And the thing that is interesting about this movie, so 2/3 of this movie is just garbage. Right?
Yeah.
Like absolute steaming garbage.
I'm glad that my opinion is null in this whole conversation.
but then when they get to Universal Studios Hollywood and they have like the big
the esports like tournament,
video Armageddon tournament.
Armageddon.
Oh God, how much cocaine was that guy on?
So, well, he had a great tie, but so like the thing about this is like, looking back on it, like this was 1989, and at this point, like video games were not like widely accepted, and the concept of esports was just like non-existent. Like esports did not exist. And the kind of plot point for the climax of this movie of like a video game tournament where you had like crowds that were like going crazy and you'd see like people playing video games on a stage, that was something that was complete fiction. Like they made that shit up. But then like fast forward to nowadays, and like that's like, you watch EVO, which is the video game like fighting tournament out here in Vegas, where like they have it at the esports arena. And like, that's what it looks like. Like this was the precursor to all the esports. And this was the thing that actually inspired people to hold these video game tournaments and have like these like, esports events. And so like this movie was kind of like the precursor to that whole like Twitch centric, video game tournament culture.
So
out
what you're
there.
saying is this movie is so amazing that it influenced the future in multiple ways. It inspired the way we live
Listen,
today.
man, if this whole movie, this as it stands right now, this is just an absolute trash.
It's got Christian Slater in it.
Trash movie, terrible parenting, terrible family values, nonsense movie to sell a video game. If they would have just
I mean, did you see
Frickin-
Problem Child? That makes way less sense.
If they would have just stuck to their guns and had it be about a freaking video game tournament to sell Nintendo games, it would have been so much better. That last minute where like Jimmy,
Jimmy.
the California kid,
Fred Savage.
No.
No, the other
Jimmy.
one.
Yeah, I know.
The Rain Man one. When he's just sitting there and he's like mashing at video games. If it was just that the whole time, I would have been like, yeah, okay, I can see why this was made in the 80s. It makes sense.
You know what's funny about this movie is just the way video games are treated. And like back then, like this was like, it was like, you got 50,000 in Double Dragon.
Yeah, the
Oh
high
my
score
God.
was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you still have these like console games and arcades and stuff like that. Like the Nintendo was like the home video game system.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the peak of like technology at that point. But you know, arcades were still a thing.
Well,
and so like when you go back and you see like all the different video games in this movie, there wasn't anything that was catering to the gaming crowd back then. This was like the first like movie that was like, hey, we're for gamers. Like we got Power Gloves, we got Super Mario Brothers 3, we got, you know, Double Dragon, we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember playing the shit out of Teenage Mutant
Oh
Ninja
yeah,
Turtles.
it was a good game. Well, it wasn't. It actually was a terrible game. It was incredibly hard and didn't make any sense. But yeah, it was. I watched them playing it and I was like, oh, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Bo Bridges like being like video games are stupid to him getting addicted to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was hilarious.
Hilarious.
I hate Bo Bridges so much.
How do you hate Bo
Can we
Bridges?
talk about how ridiculous he is when he's going up against that freaking bounty hunter dude?
No. Can we talk first about the fact that he gave up custody of his child to this asshole that she married after they got divorced?
It wasn't his child.
Yeah, this is
Yes,
his
it was.
No, it was his stepchild.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was Fred Savage's half brother.
Yeah, there's a
so
weird.
he had Christian Slater and Fred Savage.
Those are his
he
kids.
married Christine. They had the twins together.
No.
One of them
No,
died. They
no.
got divorced. She married asshole.
No, when it was a Brady Bunch situation where
Yeah.
the mother already had the two kids when she married Bo Bridges. And so that was like legally they were half brothers. They weren't like biologically.
That's
half
how I got
brothers.
it too.
I disagree.
They explain this in the movie.
Yeah, that's
Like,
that's
it's in
what I
the
got
movie.
from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his half brother.
I can't back you up, Jude. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't give a shit enough about this movie to pay attention to it.
I was forced to watch it twice, and I didn't get that either time.
You know, one of my favorite parts of this movie
What's that?
is just them like hoboing across the country.
Oh my god!
It's like The Color of Money, but with video games.
It's really bad. Like right in the scene, they're literally in a cave with a fire, and that's just where they're sleeping that night.
How did that freaking 9-year-old start the fire, dude?
Well,
Hey,
we
Fred
didn't start
Savage
the
has
fire,
skills.
but-
He carries around a skateboard with him.
Probably had a blowtorch. It's the 80s.
It's 89. Yeah, for sure. He's got stuff
He at
in
least
that
had a
past.
lighter.
He's got that.
He's got an army issue canteen. He's got that old skateboard that weighs 45 pounds.
Yeah. His dad was a gardener, so he knows how to do nature stuff.
You know the best is the tree in the back of the truck.
Oh, it just stays
It's just
there
the whole time.
time.
Whole
I was
time.
like, oh, is that tree?
So I gotta talk. Since you brought it up, I gotta talk about
God, I love this movie.
this
It's so
freaking
good.
dude and his truck and his like jaunt across the country when he's going up against this guy, and he decides that he's so inept at being an adult,
Who,
that
Bo Bridges?
whatever his name
Yes.
is, the dad. He has to basically just play bumper cars in the middle of freaking Main Street.
100%. I was about to say they're playing bumper cars with each other.
Like, and they're
get
like,
it.
I don't like you. And he smashes into him, breaks his own car while the bad guy gets away with a freaking smashed back end to go, kidnap kids.
Yeah.
No.
And like
It's great.
What do you mean it's great?
Oh, I love it. It's
The
so
re-
much fun.
the ridiculously of the bounty hunter. The first time we're introduced to him, he's like, so don't go after your kid because I won't get paid.
Oh, what a creep.
Oh, what a creep.
And also the entire movie, he's going around to people and he's like, I'm looking for these kids.
Yeah.
You know? And people are just like, ooh.
He like the funniest freaking moment about this is when he's trying to be intimidating to this like 12-year-old, and he walks up to the pinball machine. He's like, "Have you seen these kids?" And the kid tells him to go buzz off because who wouldn't? And he like
He tilts the pinball
slightly
machine.
lifts up the pinball machine because he's not strong enough to flip it over. He's just like,
no. He wasn't.
No, he tilted it.
Yeah, he tilted it.
He tilted it.
I know that you're not old enough to have played pinball, Alex.
That ruins your game.
Yeah, but when you tilt the game, so like
it like sees you're cheating, right? It has like a sensor in it.
yeah.
exactly, and it ruins your score. And so that's what he did.
No, fuck that guy anyway. It's just So stupid.
Fuck everyone in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Including the kids. Like, everyone in this movie, their dialogue is so stupid. Every single person was like, I'm not going to do that. And then they do it immediately.
Dude, remember the scene where they're in the back? I think they're in the back of like an old burnt out freaking tractor trailer truck and they're trying to get some rest. And Fred Savage just pulls out a freaking Halloween mask out of nowhere, puts it on, and the freaking redheaded chick just punches him right in the face for like no reason.
Trying to scare her. Yeah.
I was like, what is going on here?
Well, how about that's one of the things he brought?
Why did he bring a Halloween mask?
Oh my God.
Matt-
He just made it worse.
Matt's been, I don't know, Matt, if you want me to talk about it, but he's doing this murder mystery thing. And it was pretty fun. And he had us all pick like a secondary item that our detective would use.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't use, none of us used our secondary item. And it was very strange. This is the secondary item he picked. It was this freaking mask. Like, that's what you picked? You could have brought anything. A fork would have been more useful than
He's
your
like,
monster
I got
mask.
my blowtorch and my Halloween mask. I'm going on the road.
I
got it.
actually think the mask was in that like trailer thing. Like they just found
Even
it. Like,
creepier.
That's
back
even
there.
It's
scarier.
probably full of semen.
You're probably right. It probably was full of semen.
It smells funny in this mask.
That's why she punched him.
That's so gross.
The cum mask.
Oh, God.
Like the
All right.
whole movie, Christian Slater's like, hey, Dad, I'm really glad I'm here. 4 seconds later, why am I even here?
Oh.
Why'd you bring me? Like,
He's Christian
it's
Slater.
So
He was
fucking
the coolest.
infuriating.
He was the coolest guy in the world for like
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted Christian Slater to be their older brother.
Oh my God, he was the coolest guy in the world, and it has Fred Savage, arguably America's sweetheart. Okay,
Yeah, he was at the height of the
Yeah,
Wonder Years popularity at this
absolutely.
movie.
Sure.
the cast in this movie alone is really fun. It's like every 80s guy, every 80s dad is in this movie.
Right.
And that's fun by itself, right? It's got video games, okay? Double Dragon hard as shit. When they were like, he went through,
Ninja Gaiden.
When he went through Ninja Gaiden,
Ninja Gaiden's so hard.
Ninja Gaiden is historically the hardest game ever made because it's so bullshit. But he made it through without dying. He's going through again.
Yeah.
But you know what makes this movie really
Oh, I
stand
love
out?
it.
And this goes to what Alex was saying, like he loves like seeing like Elijah Wood and like Back to the Future too. This was Tobey Maguire's first movie.
Oh, you did know. Okay.
Toby?
R2 is in the chat right now and he's like, this is Tobey Maguire's first movie.
So Tobey Maguire was part of Lucas's like kind of crew. And Lucas is like the kind of like video game expert who has 90 games that like he
had them all.
played. He had them
Oh,
all.
he had a duffel bag with like a pocket for each one.
Yeah, he showed him.
I'm really good at all
and,
these.
and so like there's a scene at the end of this movie in the video game Apocalypse tournament where basically like Lucas is with all of his entourage and Tobey Maguire's there and he's got like a little mullet. He doesn't have a speaking line or anything like that. But he just shows up and this was like his first like film appearance.
Oh, that'd be a fun week. First film appearances of megastars when they were kids.
We'll be Back to the Future 2, The Wizard, and
But
pick another one.
Jude talked about how
what's
bad
his name in Ninja Turtles? Sam Rockwell's in Ninja Turtles.
Jude talked about how bad the dialogue was
Yeah.
in this movie.
Oh.
Wizard.
It's atrocious.
But there's one line where basically Lucas shows off his power glove for the first time, and this was a huge deal back in '89.
It's so cringy.
And no one had one.
And he, like after he like just demolishes this video game, he turns to Fred Savage and he holds up his fist with the power glove on, and he's like,
I love the power glove. It's so bad.
What?
He sold me. I wanted one so bad.
I'm watching the scene and I'm
this is before the power glove had come out.
I know.
And so like every kid who was a Nintendo freak wanted the power glove. And I can remember when it finally came out. First of all, it wasn't built for left-handed.
No, he was only right-handed.
Second of all, it was so small.
Yeah, if you're a lefty, fuck you.
Yeah, it was so small that like I can remember a neighbor of ours, they got it for their kids, and so we all ran up to like their house to play like with the power glove, and I couldn't get it on my hand because it was so small.
Really?
And, yeah, and it was very weird because the power glove just never worked right.
No.
And
Well, it doesn't even-
was a real piece of shit.
Well, it only worked for a
Just like
couple of
this movie.
games.
like this is like kind of like a glorified commercial for the power glove, especially this
It
scene.
is.
It doesn't even work in the scene. You can see the kid, he's sitting there like steering the car with the power glove and the car's not going in the same direction
And
that
it's
he's
so
steering.
boring.
Well, the thing about the power glove is that in this movie, it made it look like the the movement of the glove controlled things, but it
Right.
was just like a glove that had like
A controller
on it that you could like use.
No, it had the lasers on it. It worked in certain games. Like you couldn't play
What
most
lasers? What were the
games.
lasers pointing
Well,
at?
it was the same thing with the gun.
With the duck hut?
The gun didn't really.
Hut?
The
Duck?
gun kind of worked too, but it was a very similar kind of thing.
How does that gun work?
It hits the screen with a laser and then it recognizes it.
Ill-tempered laser.
Yeah, it reflects it back into the gun,
Yeah.
which
I will say
relays the information to
That
them.
was the pinnacle of video gaming.
When you get the Duck Hunt,
The
Super
duck
Mario
hunt,
game,
yeah.
the double game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
freaking love that shit.
I remember that day.
Yeah, but you know, back then there
remember
were no
that.
PlayStations, there were no Xboxes.
No.
It was
No.
either Nintendo or Sega.
And Sega
Or
Saturn.
Atari.
And Sega, well, Atari had kind of gone the way of the dodo by this time, but
Yeah.
like
I still have one.
you know, like Nintendo was the king of the video game mountain, and more and more people were starting to play on their home consoles instead of going to arcades and stuff like that. And this movie was really meant to kind of capitalize on that. This is the first gamer-centric movie I can remember ever seeing, especially in the theaters, because I actually went and saw this in the theater.
Yeah, oh,
And
yeah.
I remember leaving the theater being like, that movie sucked, but like it was cool to see Super Mario
How
Brothers
old were
3.
you when it came out?
Oh gosh, I don't even
89?
remember. Yeah, because I graduated high school in '97, so
I was 8 when it came out. So
Maybe
this was
10?
like, this movie was like, yes.
I think it was probably
Yes.
around Fred Savage's age, actually.
I had a crush on Jenny Lewis. The whole thing, man. It was like
Oh yeah, she was really cute.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
from Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, well, Jenny. I wanted to talk about some Jenny Lewis because she's Jenny Lewis. She's kind of
The
like
ginger, the redhead.
yeah,
chick?
yeah. She's like a Vegas like weird celebrity. Like,
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's actually a musician now.
Yeah,
Like,
she's
she
a
started
musician
a
now.
band.
Yeah, her dad was her mom and dad were both poker or blackjack dealers here in town or something like that. Or her mom was a showgirl, like she says her mom was.
I think her mom was a showgirl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's exactly like that. And,
So this,
yeah,
I'll tell you, out of all the scenes in this movie, the one that pissed me off the most was when she was telling the trucker like how to play craps.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, put it on a hard 8. I'm like, no.
yeah. She's like, play the pass line. I'm like, everybody plays the pass line. You have to play the pass line to play the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she tells him play the pass line, he wins on the pass line. Then she's like, play the field. And then he wins on the field. And then she's like, hard 8, put it on the hard 8. I'm like, you never put it on the hard 8.
Well, you know what's even weirder is the games already go. I mean, I know how to play craps, so I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, they don't know how to play craps. They're just like,
weird flex.
I don't know how to play. The only time I've ever played craps is literally I had somebody narrating what it was exactly.
Was it Jenny Lewis?
It was almost like this scene, except it wasn't a 12-year-old girl.
You wanna
It was
go-
a giant black dude named Mr.
Yeah.
Cook.
well, to anyone who knows anything about craps, when you play like the hard 8 bet, it's a 30-to-1 odd. So like if you know for
Something
every
like that,
for every
yeah.
dollar you bet, you get $30. Now, typically, if you're going to play that bet, you put down $1 in the hopes to win 30, because after every roll, those bets are like cleared. Now they put everything on hard 8, and so like there's like an astronomical chance that they were going to
Yes.
win that. But like I guess in order to get $400, they needed to win the hard 8 or something.
Well,
like
it
that.
is the wizard.
Yeah. But it was the girl telling people like, you know,
Well,
what to do.
Jenny had skills
yeah,
too.
she grew up in Reno, man. She's
Yeah,
street
she
smart.
knows
She's
truckers.
savvy.
Knows truckers.
Biggest little city in the world.
This is a 1-star crap fest.
Oh, you guys suck.
Oh, we're gonna get into it. Let's do final thoughts. All right. So I don't think I've ever seen this entire movie. I have seen it before because I remember the kid going California. So I know it's in my head somewhere, but I've this is like a first watch basically for me, and I hated almost every single minute.
Oh
of
my
it.
god.
The only parts that were even slightly redeeming is when the truckers came and beat the shit out of the freaking bounty hunter, and you know the 30 seconds where we get to see somebody play Mario Brothers 3. Like that was really the only thing.
I loved the entire video game tournament.
Oh,
section of
that
it.
that freaking announcer! I am not even joking. He had to have been on cocaine.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's 89.
Yeah. Did you notice where they held the tournament was and right now it's a Transformers ride in Universal Studios Hollywood, but it's right next to the Jurassic Park exhibit in Universal Studios.
I've been there. Dude, I was that like 12-year-old kid who went on the Jurassic Park ride over and over and over again for like 3 hours.
Is this getting extra points from you?
That was me. No, fuck no.
Okay.
This is by far the most 1-star-ish crap fest I've ever seen in my life. This is a terrible movie. I hate everybody in it, and I don't ever want to see it again.
Could you fix it?
Make the entire movie about Video Game Armageddon.
Okay.
The whole hour and a half, just have the kid beating the shit out of other kids at video games.
And have Fred Savage be the wizard. You know?
Sure, yeah.
Like the big problem with this movie is
you don't like the autistic wizard?
it's basically Rain Man, but with video games.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a 9-year-old Rain Man. It's terrible.
Yeah, Fred Savage is Tom Cruise. And
Yeah, and Jimmy's freaking Dustin Hoffman.
you got it.
It's awful.
Penelope Cruz, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in that movie?
Right? Wasn't she?
Been a minute since I've seen it. I don't remember. Anyway, what's the star to you? What movie?
The amount that you like it is starting to affect our friendship, I
I'm
think.
staggered right now. I can't believe you actually are defending this movie.
Okay.
What do you give it?
You guys are jerks. Okay. So you're taking it way out of context for what it is. It's a freaking kids movie about video games.
Oh, I have never.
I saw it when I was 8 years old. I loved it. And I still have a place in my heart for this movie. It is really fun. It's a kids movie. It is straight up a kids movie. It doesn't make any sense to anybody but kids. And if you're an 8-year-old who loved Nintendo in 1989, this movie was great.
No, it's a kids movie.
It's a kids movie.
Doesn't work. That is not a valid defense for a movie.
Just saying.
Because then you're just saying it's okay that it's stupid because it's meant for small people.
We use it for. It's a comedy, so we'll give it this rating. It's a kids movie. It's a kids movie. It's really fun. It's got tons of people you love in it. The story is just fun. Okay, it's just fun. I didn't say it's good. I said it's fun. It's Stand By Me. It's Rain Man. It's all the best things of my. Oh my God. Nostalgia?
He's just like sticking a fork in the spaghetti and just twirling it up.
He's sticking a spork in a light plug.
And just loving every second of it. You guys don't understand.
How many stars?
You guys just don't understand what it's like to be a young boy wanting to run away from home and go to a video game tournament with your autistic brother. I realized how much fun that would have been watching this movie.
Hitchhiking all the way.
Dude, I'd love to hitchhike. Every 8-year-old wanted to run away from home and hitchhike and go play a video game tournament after watching this movie.
Okay.
I'm not going to give it a rating because you guys are jerks.
No, you have to. Come
You
on.
have to.
You guys are hurting my
Part of the
feelings.
job.
It's like my childhood is stupid to you morons. 10.
10 out of 5.
Oh my God. Okay.
You are an absurd person.
It's a fun movie. I loved every second of it.
You're insane.
Oh,
Okay,
I loved every
all right.
second of it.
All right.
It's got Christian Slater.
That's fine. That's fine.
Between him and Fred Savage, they were the coolest kids in Hollywood at the time.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
All right.
I don't care how much money it made. The movie's fun. You guys are dicks.
Jude. Did you get 1-star crap fest?
This is a 1-star crap
Okay.
fest. I hate it so much. I'm mad at every single person who was involved with making this movie.
They're reading a Nintendo Power right now. It's like my childhood on a toilet right there.
For me, the only way that this movie could have improved is if you had turned it into a horror movie and killed everyone.
My God. Okay. The video game announcer fondled that girl's pigtails.
Mm-hmm.
Cross the line, man.
He could be president today.
Cross the line.
Well, I also think it's funny that like the image that this movie had of like a girl who's good at video games is that girl.
What? Who's she?
The horse-faced pigtails.
Oh, damn. Ow.
Well, she's the kind of girl who don't leave the room too much.
They're like, this looks like the type of girl who'd be good at video games.
Ow.
And then like as soon as everybody gets to Universal and sees Jimmy in the tournament,
Oh.
it's all okay.
Don't even get me started on why the parents were at Universal Studios while their child was missing.
The video Armageddon. The video Armageddon.
That's why they went.
Yeah. I went to Nickelodeon Studios when I was a kid, and I got to go on a show. It was a pilot, and I got to play video games on the show.
You were a pilot?
Yeah, I was on pilot. I beat the girl. I wasn't gonna let a girl beat me in video games.
So at a certain point, the bounty hunter calls up the parents
Yes.
of Joshua and tells them
Jimmy.
of Jimmy
Joshua.
and tells them that I'm getting my video game movie. Yeah. and tells them that they're headed to this video game tournament. And so like that's why the parents showed up there. It wasn't just like, oh, like they came out of the blue.
There's continuity.
Yeah.
That kid has been saying California for at least a year. And they won't take him there until he takes himself there. And they're like, I guess we'll go too. Fuck them. I hate those parents. They're stupid. I hate them.
I'm with Jude.
Well, yeah, they're bad parents.
They're horrible parents.
Yeah, they're neglecting and then they hate each other.
They tried to put him in a home and just leave him there.
You know, it's just a good example of why the nuclear family should be supported in this country and how we.
So the evil stepdad was the one who wanted to put him in the home. The mother was very conflicted about it.
Evil stepdad.
Yeah,
it's a Disney movie. All of a sudden,
Kate, it's a kids movie.
Final rating.
There's a wizard. There's a wizard.
She should have stabbed the stepdad in his sleep, murdered him, and gone on the run to California with her kid. End of story.
I'm down for that movie. Kadish, final thoughts. Give it a rating.
So this is very much a movie that's a product of its time. And if you don't know a lot of the context around like the making of the movie and like when it came out and stuff like that, and you're just judging it based off its merits as a movie, it's not very good. Like to me, like I wouldn't go so far as to call it a 1-star crap fest, but this is definitely like a 2-star movie in my opinion. It's just, you know, 2/3 of this movie is not very good. It's just like a movie about a road trip gone wrong, and like they're hustling people using this kid playing video games, and it's just not very believable that they'd be hustling
Jackoffs
these
gave
old
a
men.
5 to Eurotrip last week.
Anyway, overall, like I didn't hate this movie as much as you know, my lovely lady here and Alex.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you gonna call me?
But
these broads over here.
but I feel like all their criticisms are valid, and so like I can't really give this thing anything more than a 2 because it's just like it's a movie. It's an okay movie.
All right, that's enough salt for The Wizard. I don't even know what to say about it. I wouldn't go watch. Don't, Jesus Christ. All right, moving on. The next one.
Let your kids watch it.
No.
They wouldn't get it. The next one on our list is 1984's The Last Starfighter, which might be the best movie on our list this week. We'll find out. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to join a fantastic community, go to saltynerddiscord.com. That is where you can find our Discord server, and it is a absolute wonderful place to say that. And I'm not just saying that because I own it and regulate it and do all the fun stuff in it, but it truly is my go-to social media app. I love hanging out with the people in Discord. We have a ton of fun. We chat all kinds of different things. We have a chat room for almost every different show that we watch and different types of things, pop culture news, all kinds of really fun stuff. And also we do trivia parties with Jude over here once a month for our club members area stuff. And we also do watch parties every Monday night that's open to the public. And we'll pop in there randomly sometimes. If we just want to share something with you guys, we'll do a quick text. We'll shout out everybody and say, hey, we're doing something special. As of late, we've been doing our podcast live, raw, unedited on our Discord app. You can listen to us on Tuesday mornings and jump into the chat. R2, the Icky, is in there. Aaron from Down Under, Australia, he's in there right now. We have a ton of fun chatting with these guys. So head over to saltynerddiscord.com and join a fantastic community. The next movie on our list is The Last Starfighter, a little gem in the 80s. And I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys. So Jude, take it away.
All right.
What is The Last Starfighter all about?
1984, The Last Starfighter. Rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour, 41 minutes. This had a budget of $15 million. Alex, what do you think this brought into the box office?
38 million.
Thomas?
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to say like 25, if that.
28.
Yeah, if that.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Hometown video game hero Alex Rogan was just moping around the trailer park when a mysterious man rolls up and offers him some candy. When the mystery mobile turns into a spaceship, Alex ends up on the fast track of Alien Starfighter boot camp. This is why you shouldn't get in cars with strangers. He's been recruited into the onboarding Star League to fight in the war against Xur. Alex wanted to do something cool with his life, but he was thinking more along the lines of going to college. When the evil Xur attacks Rylos and the entire Star League gets blown up, it's up to Alex to defend the frontier against the takeover, for he is the last Starfighter. With his beta unit back on Earth awkwardly pretending to be him, he heads back into the stars, guns blazing with his navigator Grig. And the two of them are all that stands in the way of Xur and the Kodan Armada taking control of all the worlds in the stars. Discuss.
This movie doesn't make any sense and it's stupid.
Shut up. You're just jealous because we destroyed the wizard.
Just ruining my childhood.
I have probably an unearned amount of nostalgia for this movie.
Okay.
Because I've seen it before for sure, and I liked it.
At what age did you see it?
Young, really young.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really young. I watched it and I was like, oh, that's freaking cool. Like I just remember it being fun. And it was just enjoyable. And it was oh, that would be cool if that was me. Like, what if I play video games and it's a freaking test? Like, I understand. Like, I'm not old enough to have enjoyed this when it was out and the era, like when you were a young kid and you see this movie in theaters. I wasn't there, but I did see it at the appropriate age when it later on. And I remember really enjoying it. Mm-hmm. And despite it not really holding up as far as like VFX and stuff like that, I think it's worthy of its kind of spot in the 80s culture. It's a lot of fun. And I really want to ask Matthew Kadish one question, because I know I am actually a fan of his books, Earthman Jack, and there's so many ties to this movie and your books. And I'm wondering, was this like the thing that sparked that flame to make you write your books?
Yeah, so this movie had probably the most influence in the creation of the Earthman Jack books that I wrote. Everything from like, the kid in the trailer park to being good at video games and that translating into like, flying a spaceship and stuff like that. Like I grew up on this movie. This movie is a very special movie to me. I loved it. I mean, it's every little boy's fantasy to like, be good at a video game and then get caught up in like this adventure up in space and stuff like that. And this movie, more than any other movie of the time, I think kind of embodied it. When this movie came out, there was, it was kind of like the Spielberg golden age. It was Spielberg and Lucas who kind of like had the fantasy science fiction market cornered, and everyone was doing knockoffs of like Star Wars and E.T. and things of that nature. And Nick Castle and Jonathan R. Bootle, who directed and wrote this movie respectively, they were trying to do something that captured the wonder and fantasy of science fantasy. But at the same time, they were trying to do stuff that wouldn't get them compared to Spielberg or Lucas. And so like originally this movie was set in the suburbs, but that was like Spielberg's thing was like the suburbs kid. And so they were like, well, what if we set it in a trailer park and made them like super poor? And then, like the whole, Star Wars type thing, it was very different from like, the evil empire fighting like, this rebellion. Like the Star Force was like the thing that protected the entire galaxy, and they were fighting against this outcome or this outside threat. And so like there was a lot of stuff in this movie that I grew up just like loving, and it became ingrained in my head. And when I started writing my own kind of like science fiction thing, this was kind of like one of the biggest influences on it.
Yeah, you can definitely tell, especially the first 10 or so chapters it feels like it's taken this and then just kind of like expounded upon it. And I'm not doing this because I'm your friend, but your freaking book's a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun with this movie. It was, I don't know, man. It's kind of heartwarming, fun little adventure. I wish it had aged as well as something like Star Wars had. So, Jude, real quick, what's your general opening thoughts on this movie?
Oh, I love this movie. This is also like something that I feel very nostalgic about. And also, Catherine Mary Stewart is in this, and I just love her in the 80s. She's in one of my all-time favorite movies, Night of the Comet. And like, honestly, anything that she's in, I will watch, especially if it's from the 80s. And I think it's just such a fun concept. And I think every kid, especially in the 80s, and maybe today too, I don't know kids' brains now, even though I have one. But like when you were a kid growing up, like you wanted to be that special kid. You wanted something awesome to happen to you. And this movie allows it to happen, and you can put yourself in that position. And it's just fun.
Tom.
One of my favorite movies growing up, Last Starfighter, big time. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. And rewatching it, I mean, it's got problems. It does not hold. It doesn't hold up. The story doesn't make any sense.
The story doesn't make any sense?
Oh, it's stupid. When you realize that Zur is like comic relief and he's not actually the villain.
Oh, he's not intimidating at all.
He's not even the villain. He's just some clown that's on board with the Klingon warship. and they're like, this guy talking again?
Yeah, he's like a Star Trek hologram.
Like he had the code to get through the barrier, and that's the only reson he's there. So he's not even the real bad guy.
No,
he's like a joke.
Yeah.
There's what, like 12 people in this defense force, and there's like one ship with like 13 ships that are. That's it. We're gonna take over the whole universe now. A lot of it's dumb, but fun movie from my childhood. These guys said it best. It literally is what every kid wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be really badass at a video game and be like, oh, you just got recruited into the Starfleet.
Sure.
Yeah.
We
all want that.
So we all know the opening of the scene. We get Alex, who is the main character of this movie. He plays this video game. He's got the top score, and that sets off a trigger that says, hey, we've got somebody here.
Oh my God. The reaction of everybody in the trailer park when
they were
winning
so
this game,
excited.
It's
not fair.
So sad
It was like
that this is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to them.
They're hugging and kissing and crying
Because he got a high score in a video game.
Yeah, they're like giving babies to him. Like, this is raise my child. That scene is effing ridiculous.
It's so funny though.
Sad.
The old man smoking a pipe going, boy, you're gonna waste your whole life. Wait a minute. He gonna get a high score? Everybody get the fuck over here.
So look, this movie came out the year after Wargames did.
Yes.
And we saw what the level of technology in Wargames was.
Yeah.
So like in this situation where you actually have like a video game that has like 3D models in it, like at
the wireframe models.
Yeah. At the time that was like revolutionary. And so like the fact that like there's like this one video game at this trailer park that only one person in the trailer park's actually like good at. It's kind of like when you used to go over to your friend's place and watch them play video games, and the guy who's the best at the video games would be the one playing it, and you'd be like cheering him on, and it was entertainment, It was fun.
Yeah, it's no different than going to a football game. You're not good at football, but the dude on the field is, and then you're cheering him on. But I do get it, because literally, like, people crowd around him, and they're all like cheering and hooping and hollering. Like, I could understand if it
shaking each other.
Yeah. Like, they can't believe this is happening.
Like, if it was like, his younger brother, his girlfriend, maybe a couple of his buddies or something like that, I would buy it. No, it's literally the entire freaking trailer park.
Dog's excited. Just everyone can't believe this.
They're
shit's
going to be
happening.
talking about this for years.
Yeah. It's so funny. It is very goofy and funny. But anyway, so his high score triggers the events that kind of set forth the rest of the movie, and it sends a message to Centauri. Is that how you say his name? Yeah. Centauri, who is like, he's the one who kind of placed that test there. And did we mention before that it was supposed to be in Las Vegas?
Earlier, yeah. It's supposed to be in Las Vegas.
I missed that bit of dialogue. When did he say that?
Early in the beginning, like, because they drop it. It's like, oh, it's supposed to go to Las Vegas. That's some podunk spot. And I'm like, well, Vegas was pretty podunk in 1984, so I'm not too sure what you mean.
They had mob.
Yeah,
well, I figured they'll drop it off at Circus, and it'll work itself
It
out.
would still be there today.
Well, so the whole thing about Centauri.
Well, that's my idea for a sequel in this one. Is that they find an old one and plug it in. And then, like, they actually come to bring the kid back. It's like, oh shit, this kid broke the high score too.
Like the Last Starfighter meets Jumanji.
Yeah, why not? Because at the end it
sets up an open.
It sets up something. I don't know what.
Yes, but the whole thing with Centauri is basically he designed this video game in order to find people who would be good for like the Star League on Earth, and so he meant to distribute them in population centers where lots of people would be able to play them. So because he gets paid for every recruit he brings to the Starfleet, and basically this one video game accidentally got shipped to this trailer park somehow instead of going to Vegas. And he was like, it must have been fate because, like, you're the best that we've ever found. And so, like, it's kind of weird because Centauri is a bit of a headhunter for,
he don't play by the rules. He's not even supposed to be recruiting Earthlings.
Yeah, was it just...
They're not in the Star League.
It really seemed like he kidnapped this kid from Earth and sold him into slavery. And he was like, all right, bro...
Peace.
And then he's like,
go kill some aliens.
He's like, I don't want to go to war. Centauri's like, oh, why? Are you a coward?
That dude is legit probably the biggest villain in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he's more menacing than the freaking goofball freaking head case.
Where he takes his human face off or his human disguise. When I was a kid, that freaked me out so much.
Yeah, the first time I saw this movie, I was freaked the hell out by
And
that.
the beta
and
unit.
the beta unit.
Yes.
I still have nightmares
Creepy
about that
beta
face.
unit.
So,
About that
okay.
face? Oh god.
Yeah, we got to set that up. So
Bulging eyeballs.
when they take Alex off the planet, they have to replace him with a body double, which is a robot that kind of mimics his looks and his personality and stuff, so that it doesn't like raise a bunch of hubbub.
They shake hands in the car.
And get his DNA.
Yeah, it gets his DNA.
There's
And then
DNA all over me.
and then he gets out and pretends to be Alex, but like it takes like a night for him to like change into Alex. So he's just got the blanket over his head.
Yeah.
And they show him before he's like finished transforming, and it looks like the creepiest nightmare shit.
If I was his little brother and I saw that shit, I would freak out.
Oh,
Dude.
that would have ruined my life.
Like pulls the cover down and it's like this freaking oozing looking kind of slimy face with
like
bug eyes
pulsing.
and there's like LEDs in the brain. Super creepy.
So the funny thing about the beta unit is that when they were doing test screenings for the film, originally the beta unit wasn't in it all that much, but there was that scene where basically Alex comes home and the beta unit's in the bottom bunk and they have that exchange. And in the test screenings, people loved that scene so much that they were like, we got to put more of the beta unit in. And so they went back and they reshot a bunch of scenes just to have like the beta unit give some like comic relief to the movie.
No kidding.
So the scene where he takes his head off and he's like fixing his ear, the scene
And
where
then he makes the head shake back and forth.
and the scene where like they go out camping and he's like, you know, trying to sweet
Darling.
talk. Yeah. He's trying to sweet talk his girlfriend. But it was kind of funny because when we were watching it, Jude was like, why does Alex's hair look so weird? And it was because the actor had cut his hair in between like when the movie finished filming and doing the reshoots. And so like they had to put a wig on him.
This is like a samurai cop situation.
Kind of, yeah.
They samurai copped it, exactly. And so like
Nice reference.
And so like whenever you see the beta unit scenes later on in the movie, Alex's hair looks weird because like it's a wig.
I was like, his hair looks really wiggy.
Which
in this
actually
scene.
like strangely fits the circumstance because
he's a robot. But at the same time, I was like, but why?
because he's not very good at his job, Jude.
Yeah, he didn't. He was very beta.
Oh, he
Yeah,
was.
he
He was stuff in an alpha unit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was
Not an alpha
he was
at
a
all.
beta cuck.
What do you want me to do with that thing?
I mean,
He's a beta cuck.
Speaking of bad hair, the Rylans, which is like the Star League race.
Oh God.
They all look like old like grandmas and grandpas
Yeah.
because of like the hair.
They're all
It's a really
balding.
weird
They have
design.
they have like this weird ring.
The Homer
hair-
Simpson.
The Homer Simpson, Captain Picard,
You got
but
it.
like to like an extreme. And then they have these bulging foreheads,
Yeah.
like a freaking Ferengi or something. It was a very, very strange way of going about creating these characters.
Yeah, so like they designed the Kolan first, which are like the evil race, which is kind of like demonic, and they wanted something that was very like opposite that, and so like
Let's make them look like grandpas.
yeah, they tried to make them look like a cross between angels and cats.
What?
Oh dear
Did you
God!
where did you read that shit? Did you make that up?
This is from Robin Cobb, who did like the special effects.
You were
in there.
sleeping.
Angels and
Yeah,
cats.
the cat people.
I'm going to show you a picture of Zur, and I
Yeah.
want you to tell me if you get angels or cats out of that.
Well, eventually the special effects supervisor was like, at a certain point, we were just locked into this design and we couldn't change it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the worst parts of this movie is like the Rylans just like look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the tentacle alien.
Oh, I'll give him a shit ton of credit for like when Alex shows up to the actual, I don't know, main event or whatever, when he goes to the recruitment. The main event, the recruitment ceremony, and he's walking in there and he's like passing by all these alien creatures. I'll give them credit for going out of their way to make like really weird looking aliens.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like the
A lot of
easiest.
diversity in that crew.
Exactly. Like the easiest way they could have gone is like old school Star Trek and just had a bunch of humans like painted different colors
So
and like
you really appreciate the diversity
of the aliens. Yes, I do. It's like
The diversity initiative. Like, look, they have men, women, other.
Yeah.
squid people. It's great.
well, Grig, the navigator alien.
He just looks like a giant penis.
No,
Well,
isn't it the same alien from Enemy Mine?
It looks very
Yes,
similar.
100%. I thought the same thing.
I'm pretty sure it's Louis Gossett Jr. as well.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
I'm gonna
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google
but
that.
I'm just gonna believe that it is.
Yeah,
That's fine.
In my heart,
Yeah.
that is Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah, that's the same alien from Enemy Mine.
No,
Same one.
it's
and he has a baby.
He's a baby.
it's an actor named Dan O'Hurley.
You're ruining this for us.
I'm sorry.
You're yucking my yum here, Kaden.
Let me live my lies.
I know I'm not supposed, like, I probably shouldn't think this, but every time that dude was on screen, I just thought, like, my God, his head looks like a giant penis. Like, that's
What
all I
does
can
your
think
penis
of.
look like?
It's got the little
Yeah, what
freaking.
kind of penises do you look at?
Well, you see.
Isn't yours all scabby?
Let me
and
show
kinda
you. No, I mean, like, he's got like the freaking forehead with the little ring around it, and it's shaped. It's just a weird shaped head. You guys not? Am I the only one who thinks this?
Do you have a weird shaped head? We're still talking about your penis? What are we talking about?
Are we talking about
I'm not-
circumcised
You're
or
talking about your
uncircumcised?
penis?
I must have seen
You
this
turn
movie
on that?
like 1,000 times growing
Oh,
up,
sure.
and never once.
Am
did
I
think
the
it
only
looked like
person
a
who
penis.
thinks that?
Your brain goes
You're
right to
telling me
dicks.
that dude doesn't look like a freaking.
You went right to dicks.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think it either.
I didn't think
thought
so.
enemy mine.
I thought you looked kind of like a turtle.
And Jude's mind naturally goes to dicks.
Seriously. It's weird that you thought
Of
it.
all
and I
the
didn't.
people, I thought Jude would be on my side.
I'm just not there with you, buddy.
He looks like a walking dickhead.
No, I'm not
Okay,
getting it.
all right. I guess I'm alone on that hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the leader of the Star League,
Yeah.
Endurin.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of penises.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, we're moving.
The chat agrees with me. No, nobody thought it was a dick.
Damn it. Here I am, alone on my hill.
I've seen a lot of
On a
dicks.
mountain of dicks. Alex is standing alone on a mountain of
You're
dicks.
gonna die on your mountain of dicks.
What better
Alone.
place to die? Yeah.
Alone on a mountain of dicks. God damn it. I'll suck a mountain of dicks for justice.
Hey, does anybody else think Centauri's car looks exactly like the Val Morphinized car from Team America?
Oh, yeah.
And the entire time, I'm expecting him to say, "Now suck my dick." When he's in there, he's like, "Now suck my dick." What?
It was actually modeled after the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Of
I know.
course it
It's
was.
a 4-door DeLorean. I
It's
know.
the 80s. Everything's modeled off to the freaking DeLorean.
I mean, it's a fun movie, man.
Yeah.
It's a great
It's
movie.
got like the privacy screen in it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Very
this
fancy.
came
Don't-
out right before Ender's Game as well. And I
Don't-
mean, the whole video game concept of like a young man like fighting a galactic war. I mean, I think this movie inspired more than we think. You know, if you really think about it. I mean,
Probably.
yeah.
The leader of the Star League, Enduran, doesn't he remind you of the guy at the end of Star Wars that gives like the briefing on the Death Star?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got
sure.
those vibes.
Yeah, sure. Why
With
not?
the, he's up there and, the plans provided by Princess Leia. Yeah, 100%. I got you.
Yeah, I love this movie. Like you're right, it doesn't really hold up over time. The storyline is kind of all over the place, but at the same time, like there's just something about it. Like there's this X factor to this movie that just makes it so like fun to watch, even though you know that like it's not a great movie.
It makes you want to be part of it.
Yeah. Like there are bits and pieces to this movie that are just like timeless in a way, and they just get ingrained in your brain, and you're just like, oh, that's nice. I like watching that.
Yeah. It definitely has a good heart. It has a good message. It has a good heart. It has a good fantasy element to it.
Even the beta unit, like he's trying his best.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, the
he's
whole.
like- funny. Yeah,
she's
it's
like,
funny.
geez, Alex, laugh. And he laughs like a fucking weirdo.
Oh, like a freaking, like the Joker, like a Batman villain.
And I love how he keeps like screwing up his relationship with Maggie.
Oh,
because
God.
He just doesn't understand sex or anything like that.
That bit where they're camping and he's like listening in on somebody
The other
else
couple's
who is a
conversation, and they're
complete
freaks.
They're weirdos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like mimicking what this guy's saying to like make the.
And that guy's making love with his cowboy hat on too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, he's
Yeah, but the guy's girl is mad at him, so he's like trying to whisper sweet nothings to her, and the beta unit's like regurgitating this to try to get Maggie to like stop being mad at him.
Right.
And at a certain point, the cowboy hat guy is like, "Babe, none of the other girls meant anything to me. You're the only one."
And he says the same thing to his girlfriend, and she's like, "What other girls?"
She decks it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, do you want me to talk dirty to you now? Because that's what the girl said when he was like, nobody else meant anything to me. It's always you. And she's like, shut up and talk dirty to me now.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because so like a big influence on this film was The Wizard of Oz. They kind of used the Wizard of Oz framing devices to base the main plot around. And you got like the floating head, which was like the Oz, the Great and Powerful, and stuff along those lines. And I think Beta Unit was meant to be like the Tin Man or Scarecrow or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But one of the characters I want to point out in this movie is the little brother Lewis.
What a perv.
And so like he's got his collection of Playboys, which growing up in the 80s, like that's what you had when you were like his age.
When I first saw this, I thought it was Alex's Playboys, but now I don't think so. I think they were Lewis's.
They're just
Lewis's.
his. Yeah.
That's what he says. I'm going to tell your mom about your Playboy.
Yeah.
I always thought that he got them from Alex.
Remember, he was specifically looking for like the June
He was
centerfold.
like, where the hell's June? I'm like, why is that your voice?
It was super weird.
Well, it's funny because Alex has Maggie, and Maggie's hairstyles throughout the movie are kind of inspired by Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay, with the braids.
But it's also kind of weird because like her original hairstyle when we first meet Maggie is the exact same hairstyle as Alex's mom. It's kind of
the
weird.
80s.
It was popular back then.
Yeah.
But Lewis, when we first meet him, so he's got like this space helmet on, and he's just going around casually like ganking people with his like little dart gun. He's just like walking around, just like shooting like left and right. And he's like a perfect marksman too.
Listen, it's a trailer park. There's not a lot to do.
Right. Well, we've established that because
Yeah.
the high score was like a college football game.
Yeah.
So
So we should also mention. So this is Will Wheaton's first movie.
how so? 'Cause
He's in it.
I did not see. Will
I don't know
Wheaton.
where he is.
Where
I
is
think
he
they
at?
cut him out.
Yeah. So basically, there were some scenes where Will Wheaton was one of Lewis's friends, and he lived in the trailer park, and you can kind of see him in the background in certain scenes. But originally, he had some dialogue, and they just cut the character out of the movie. And
Yeah.
so like, unless you know where to look to find him, like you're not going to see him
Because he's
this
still
Yeah.
credited with a name.
Yeah, I didn't catch it until I was
Yeah.
watching the end credits, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, wait a minute. Will Wheaton's in this? In case you didn't even believe me, we had to rewind the credits.
Yeah. For as many times as I've seen this movie, I never noticed.
I never noticed that
Never
either.
noticed.
Do you guys remember what scene he was in?
So I think there are two scenes, and it's always like at the beginning when they're going through like the trailer park, you can kind of see him in the background somewhere, and then at the end when Alex is like going up in the spaceship, he's in the crowd there. You have to really look for him though.
Okay, I'll see if I can pull that up. Gosh, what else want to say? Okay, so let's talk about the graphics because that's really what took me.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it was
It was 1984.
I understand that, but here's the
You got to
thing:
think about what was close. I mean, Tron was the closest thing.
Tron would be the closest thing I can
Yeah.
see to this.
when did
but
Tron come out?
82.
I don't remember.
So this is actually the first movie to use computer generated
Yeah, this is the first CGI.
scenes in a feature film.
Not Tron. I thought Tron had that title.
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't think Tron had CGI. It just looked like CGI.
Tron was 82.
Oh, because they use like film trickery, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the first. You got to think like this was Atari time,
Yeah.
and this is what you get. This is actually very. I mean, if you're talking about, I mean, it does not age well.
No, it doesn't.
It's going to take until the late 90s before you see a console that can even stand up to this.
Yeah.
But the thing about
I mean,
these
really.
special effects, it's kind of funny because they started doing the special effects like as the movie started shooting, and it would take so long to render out like a believable like 35 millimeter.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Computer image that they almost didn't have them all done by the time the movie was set to be released because like the rendering time was just like days for like every single like,
I can believe
scene
it.
that had it
Well,
in there.
it's like when they made Jurassic Park. I mean, you guys seen the movies that made us, right? And they talk about how
long it took them to
the
do
effort
that,
it took
yeah.
them to make it even look. I mean, it was down to the wire. They didn't invent that shit
But
until
they-
the day before they had.
But
to
here's the
premiere
thing,
it.
though: like Jurassic Park, like still holds up 20 some odd
Still.
years
Oh,
later,
yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah,
This
very much.
movie,
No.
like this is one of those times where I look at this movie and I go, so this is after Star Wars.
Yeah,
like
I
if,
said the same thing. I
they
said,
had-
when did Empire
Yeah.
come out? Because
if they had,
But Star Wars was still using models and
That's what I'm saying.
compositing.
but
That's
it
what I'm saying.
looked 1,000 times.
yeah,
better.
if you look at the comparison of the two, you're like, okay, here's Star Wars, which is a massively popular franchise by
Yeah.
this point, and you go, we can either do that, which works,
Yeah.
or we can try the super experimental shit that might not work and probably is going to look like shit in 5 years.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that like the whole filmmakers' mentality on this was that they wanted to be different from Lucas and Spielberg and not have those comparisons be put on there. And so they didn't want to go with ILM. They wanted to do something that was new and different, and going full CGI, full computer generated was like, they're like, you're crazy. And they're like, yeah, we're crazy, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and this technology was so new at the time too that
So new.
nobody thought to themselves, "Oh, this is going to look dated in 5 years." That was preposterous.
Well, the Lawnmower Man looks garbage.
Right.
And that came out 10 years after this. This is better than Lawnmower Man.
I've never even heard of that movie.
Have you ever seen
terrible.
Lawnmower Man?
Pierce
No.
Brosnan.
It's
What?
like
Jeff
it's-
Fahey?
It's like Star Fox graphics.
Oh, it's real bad.
It's real bad, and it came out 10 years after this. So I mean, we really can't shit on it too much. The problem is, 40 years later, it does not hold up.
I've never heard of it. That sounds horrifying.
What?
But besides that, like really besides the
The bad
in
CGI.
my perspective, the dated CGI and the bad, like, there's not a lot wrong with this movie. You've kind of pointed out like, oh, we're going to take over the universe with like 2 ships or whatever. That's kind of a little goofy. But there's this one thing that they introduced in this movie that I was kind of like, I didn't remember that was in this movie. And they're like, oh, it's the Death Blossom. They're like, oh, we're going to pull out the Death Blossom. Don't touch that button. It has catastrophic freaking consequences if you touch the Death Blossom.
Was it the Omega 13 or
yes,
something?
the Omega 13 device.
It's Omega 13.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, I'm going, I don't remember the Death Blossom. This is fascinating. I'm like, this was at that point in the movie where I was like, I don't remember the rest of this movie. This is going to be fun. And like, they do their little freaking hideaway thing. They turn off their reactors and they hide from the armada and they get behind it. They do like a little Star Fox fighter thing, which is fun. And then they're like, we're outnumbered. We don't know what else. God damn it, the freaking beta unit. That is so scary. I'm sorry. The beta unit just popped up on the screen.
Freaky.
And we all just kind of jumped out of our skin a little bit.
I was a child when I saw that.
I know, that's so freaky, dude.
Like I got like palpitations waiting for it because I knew it was coming. I'm like the most god awful, unholy image is about to flash in front of my face. There it is.
Beta unit just derailed my whole conversation.
Yeah,
Talk
but
about looking like a penis. That thing's veiny.
It's
getting back to the Death Blossom though. So like one of the interesting things about this movie is that, you know, up until this point, so like you had Star Wars kind of like setting the standard for like space combat, like space dogfights. And in Star Wars, there's always a very definitive up and down. And with this movie, they were like, we want to present space as like a 3-dimensional space, like place. And the Death Blossom thing is basically where like the ship spins around like in every direction and attacks from like every direction.
That was the dumbest moment in the movie for me when they're like,
really? Like I always thought that was the coolest moment.
No,
it is the coolest moment.
No, it's so stupid.
Oh,
He's like,
that's because you watched this as an adult.
Yeah,
for the
now
first
it
time.
Probably.
Yeah, now it looks stupid.
but no, not just looks. I mean, just the idea of it. Like, like they keep talking this thing up like it's this some catastrophe, like the Omega 13 device. We don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to do some massive damage.
What
and he pushes it, and all it does is it just spins his spaceships in circles and shoots randomly. And I'm like,
Listen,
you could.
These same rides at carnivals are scary as shit, and you cannot tell me not.
You didn't like the gyroscope at the carnival, did you, Jude?
Oh, the gyroscope's fun.
You're not getting on those rides. They're scary.
Well, the whole thing about the Death Blossom, and one of the reasons why like the Star League spaceships are so advanced, is the fact that like one starship within like a certain radius could take out like literally like any ship in that radius just on its own. And that's what the Death Blossom was. And that was kind of like their last ditch, like super weapon type thing for every Starfleet or Star Force starship.
Yeah, no, I get what they were trying
It takes
to.
out the carrier too.
No, they do that separately.
No. It's damaged in that same moment.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to me, like when I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, so they spin around in circles and they shoot individual lasers just at random.
No, they were all in the sphere of targeting. You didn't watch this movie,
I
did
know
you?
the sphere of targeting.
You watched the trailer
but it's
and you're
just-
trying to pass it off.
It's just no. It's just shooting random laser. Like if
no,
it was
the
like,
lasers were locked on
There's
to
a
everything.
computer.
And,
Yeah.
why don't you just do that all the time?
They had to wait till they were in the sphere.
Yeah, and also like it drains
short
all
range.
the power from
Yes.
the starship.
Right.
That's
Sure.
a terrible weapon.
But let's not forget one. Wait, what is the ship called? They call it like a Sunfighter or something.
Star Car?
It actually has a really cool name. What they call
It's
it?
not just Starfighter. No, you're right. It does have a weird name.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it is. Though.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Something though.
Star League Mobile.
No, it was like a Sunfighter or something. It was kind of a cool name. Like
Starfighter.
like you never heard that term before. At least I didn't know. Oh, that's
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
can't tell you what it is though. But
But one of those takes on the entire fleet that was supposed to be taking over the whole universe.
yeah, there's like 13
And
warships or
They
whatever.
fired 3 meteors.
Yeah.
And
I love the scene where like the Colon like main ship is getting ready to
the
explode.
Conan Armada flagship.
Yeah, and
Gunstar.
and
Yeah,
the-
Gunstar. That's what it's called.
Gunstar, yeah.
Great name.
And the navigator turns to like the captain. He's like, "What do we do now, sir?" And like guy with the monocle comes over his eye, and he's like, "We die."
What a freaking ridiculous.
That thing they used it like 3 times, and it was like, go. No clapping.
That was the go moment, right?
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
like every time something big happens, the bad guy says something, he goes, shkink, and
Yeah.
his little thing folds down and he says something epic and then it changes scenes. It was goofy. It was probably they're like, oh, that's a really cool mechanic. We got to use that for the
Oh, they were very excited about it.
Yeah, they were very, very excited.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because like the original screenwriter for this movie has been trying to get like a sequel going for like a number of years,
Oh, yeah, I've heard about
like
this,
decades. And you know, there's been a lot of speculation over like what the sequel would be. So like some people say it would be like Maggie and Alex's kid who kind of grew up on Rylan, and he's kind of returning to Earth to try to save it. Then there's the idea that Lewis eventually grows up and finds like the video game thing and like becomes like the next Starfighter, and then there's the idea that like you could turn this into like an original series just called Starfighter, and it's all about like this like frontier war with like the Kolan and stuff like that. So I'm kind of disappointed that there was never like a franchise made out of this movie, because it seems like
It's ripe for it.
It's ripe for it. Exactly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like all my criticisms of this movie, it's because of its age and when it was made. It's not about the story itself. I think this, of all the movies out there that need or could use a good, fresh soft reboot, I would say it'd be better off to like do a soft reboot where you keep the original as it is and you just build off of that. You don't replace the original.
So a sequel, not a...
Yeah, more like a sequel, but I wouldn't... You could do it. You could do some stuff with it.
Yeah, you could Lost World it.
The Tron, I mean, the Tron sequel, I don't think people liked it very much. but
Legacy?
I liked it a lot.
I liked it a lot.
And I think you could do very much something similar where, the original Tron is garbage. It is,
it's a tough chew.
It's a tough one. It's hard to watch.
You could do a spin-off series about the Centauris of the universe going out and kidnapping people and signing them up for the Starfighter League.
A different arcade game somewhere else. Like you said, you find it all dusted off in an old casino somewhere in Vegas. You plug it back in, and all of a sudden, boom, here you go.
Well, Dave had a good idea. I was talking to my roommate Dave, and we were watching this, and he was like, what if the sequel, it was more like an MMO, and every kid was just logging on, and you were controlling a drone in space. You just didn't know.
Oh, that's like Ender Game.
Kind of like Ender's Game.
Yeah.
Kind of blending them together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a fun idea. I mean, there's a lot of really fun ways you can make a sequel to this. And it's something about the director or the writer won't allow it or something, so they're waiting until he dies. So we might have a little while to wait.
Go like a Ready Player One with it.
Yeah, very Ready Player One would be a cool angle to take on this.
I always have a problem with those because the main character seems so removed from the action that's actually happening that you kind of lose that. Like in this one, Alex goes to space, and you're along with him.
And he has like a normal reaction where he's like, I don't want to go to war. And then when he finds out that like his family isn't safe on Earth, when he returns to the trailer park because they're sending bounty hunters after him, he's like, okay, I have to go and fight. And by that point, the Star League has been wiped out, and so like he's literally the last Starfighter, and he's the last hope that Earth and any of his family have to survive the Kolan invasion. And so like structurally, like this movie is actually like quite sound.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it fits in there almost exactly. I mean, there's literally every character of the hero's journey is here.
But I mean, if I was in his situation, I'd be like, I don't want to do this either. Yeah, like, I don't want to almost die.
Yeah.
And like the boot camp for that is just like, here's your uniform. Now here's your star gun ship.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he already trained.
You know what I wouldn't
He had a
mind.
high score.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind seeing is if they do come up with some kind of a sequel somewhere, if along with the sequel they release like a special edition of this original where they go back and they update the graphics.
They're gonna Star Wars it.
Yeah,
they
do a special edition.
Now that would be something.
And I'm not talking about like changing any aspects of the actual movie.
Just take the CGI, update it.
The CGI when they're in space and they're in the Starfighter, just bump that up to 2022.
Can we also just mention the score really quick? Like I had forgotten like how good the score for this movie is.
When the theme song started playing, I knew every word in my head. And, not the words, but I knew the melody, and I was like, "Oh, what's that one song? Oh shit, it's the Last Starfighter song."
Do you know who made it? Does it have any legacy to it?
I don't recall, but like it's such a
that song was burned into my head.
Yeah. It's such a comforting song because like I hear it and I'm like, where have I heard the song before? And I'm like, well, from the Last Starfighter. but like it's one of those things where it feels like Star Trek and like all these other like science fiction movies were inspired by it. So like it feels very familiar, and whenever they use it throughout the movie, you're just like, yeah, I like that song.
You get Galaxy Quest vibes all the way through this
Yes.
movie. All the way
yeah.
through it.
Oh,
All the
yeah.
way through it.
Yeah, it's a little bit self-aware enough to be like, I don't know where I was
Fucking
going.
Will Wheaton.
Sometimes Will Wheaton. Sometimes I start sentences and I don't know where they're going. Ton of fun. Let's do final thoughts, Tom.
It is a gem from my childhood. I mean, honestly, this was one of those movies as a kid that I've seen like 1,000 times. Like this one, The Wizard is another one I've seen like 1,000 times.
What would you
Great.
rate it?
What would you rate it? Give it a rating.
You know? It's a great movie. I mean, it's if you watch it now, I can beat this movie up endlessly. I mean, it's not well written. It's not well acted. The CGI does not hold up. The story doesn't really even add up. The whole thing's a mess. But you know what? It's a kids movie. It's fun. It's from my childhood. Every time I've spent over 100 hours playing a video game, I'm like, you know what? Someone should recruit me to do this shit because I'm going to save the goddamn universe any second now. But it's fun. I mean, it doesn't hold up at all. It's a mess, but it's fun. I would love to see it remade. I would love to see a sequel. I would love anything to come out of this movie. I would love a good video game to come out of this movie. Just anything, because it harkens back to just my childhood. I love the original Masters of the Universe movie. It's not my fault. I loved He-Man. That shit came out good enough for me. You know what I mean? And this is along those same lines. This is good enough for me. It was really fun. As a kid, I loved it. I have really fond memories. Kadish ain't wrong. The theme song to this movie, when I heard it, I just knew the song because I've seen this movie so many times. It's really fun. It's terrifying for no good reason, like twice. It's funny for no good reason.
The scene right here just reminded me of the Staff of Power that has
This is how you know he's a joke.
absolutely no meaning whatsoever. It's just a sharp, shiny thing that he holds.
And these guys hate him. They're like,
Oh yeah, they hate him.
they hate him.
And that little eye patch thing does nothing.
It's awesome.
It just flips on and he just says something important.
I think that was from Nintendo also. I think it was the blaster helmet. It was the same
they have
thing.
one of those?
You don't remember the helmet you could wear?
Kind of, vaguely, yeah.
Super Nintendo had one.
That's
This
interesting.
is definitely
Did
before
you-
that.
Did you give it a rating?
I can't.
Oh, yes, you can.
Come on.
It's the rules, man. Just
I
make
know.
it up.
This movie's not good. It's a 3.
You gave Wizard like a 10 out of 5.
Wizard's really good. This has nothing in it. Nobody's career is in this movie. Nobody goes on to do anything except the Comic Girl, and no one saw that movie either, Jude. I saw it, but I've seen everything. I've seen Samurai Cop. Not everybody's seen that. It's a 3. If we're talking about pure nostalgia, it's a 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It is one of those movies from my childhood. Look, the G.I. Joe movie probably sucks, and I liked that a lot too when I was a kid. It doesn't mean it's good. This is one of those. This movie's terrible, but it's so awesome, and so much of my childhood is wrapped up in it. It's really hard for me to say it's terrible.
Okay.
It's great because it takes me back to being a kid. It really does. And just loving it because it is a kid's movie, and it's fun. Have your kids watch it. Watch it with them. They'd love it. Don't read too deep into it.
Okay, Jude. Final thoughts, give it a rating.
Yeah. So based on only nostalgia, this would be 5 stars.
Yeah.
However, the CGI does not hold up, but it's so much fun, and it's just like quintessential like 80s movie. And this is like one of those movies that I think of about like when you think of 80s movies. I never realized until watching it for this show how bad the aliens looked. It just never even occurred to me. It was just The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
And I love this movie. I can watch this again. This is 4 stars. Four gun stars for me.
Holy shit. Okay, cool. Kadish?
So this was a very important movie to me growing up. It's a big part of my childhood. It's influenced, my main book series and all this other stuff. I love this movie. I could watch this movie 1,000 times and never get tired of it, despite its many flaws, like Tom pointed out. But I'm gonna have to go with like just my emotional rating for this and give it like a 5-star because like it's just such a wonderful movie to me personally that I can't give it anything less than a 5. So
Holy crap.
Your childhood just got you by the balls, doesn't it?
This is not
You're not wrong. It's really hard to say that it's not a good movie. It's really hard to say it.
This movie really formed my kind of like my concept of what it means to have like a science fiction movie, taking like a normal underdog kid and thrusting him into this intergalactic adventure and stuff like that. Like this is a very like kind of important movie to a lot of people. And, just to me, like growing up on it, watching it as many times as I have, yeah, it's got flaws, but overall, like it's basically the template for what I think makes like a really good science fiction adventure. So
I'm fairly immune to the 80s nostalgia bit that because it's not part of my childhood. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid and I remember liking it, but watching it now, like you said, the flaws are there. It's dated. It doesn't hold up. The story's kind of goofy. I think the first half is really good. I really enjoy the first half when they actually get out there and get into battle, and it just kind of falls off the rails a little bit. It's a great movie. I would love to see another version of this out there with a reboot, with either a reboot or a sequel or literally anything, because I think it's perfect for it. This is the perfect movie to recreate.
It's got everything
polish
you need.
It up.
Everything you need to.
Yeah. Polish it up a little bit, give it a modern spin, and get a good writer and a good director and some really good visual effects and put it back out there. It would freaking do gangbusters.
DeLorean that turns into a spaceship.
Hell yeah.
Can you imagine the Christopher Nolan version of this?
Oh, gritty and realistic. Everything. And then they have like,
yeah. You want to they take the original theme song and stretch it out to 7 hours and it just plays in the background the whole time.
You know what? I even like the trailer park in this because it's like not every time you see a trailer park in a movie, it's always like some dirty, trashy, like meth head place.
Yeah.
But this is just like a hippie trailer park that they all just are like a community.
Yeah, they're just people that live in trailers. Yeah. It's not meant as like a
they have sweet old granny. It's like an extended family.
Oh, dude,
area.
when she shows up at the end with a freaking shotgun ready to blow some people's heads
Granny's
off,
got a shotgun. Yeah.
Go, Granny.
Hey, they said roll out. Granny knew what that meant.
And the old lady neighbor is named Elvira.
Yeah. Granny understood the assignment.
There's so much to love about this movie. I just wish it had aged a little bit better. I'm going to say it's probably a solid 2.5-star movie. If I'm not talking about nostalgia.
I know you have to remove the nostalgia.
Pluck the nostalgia out of it. It's a 2.5-star movie.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's good. It's got good heart, but it hasn't aged well, and it kind of falls apart at the end. I would highly suggest going and checking it out.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to. I really hope that somebody makes something new out of this at some point in time. Like take this, either build off of it, or just give it a solid, really respectful, good new treatment.
Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be amazing.
Ugh.
I'd be over head over heels.
Because the movie's, it is, for what it is, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It just isn't good. That's all. But it's got everything. Like, Kadish ain't wrong. It is the archetypal story of the kid from nowhere who went on to save the world. And we all like that story. Everyone likes that story. Star Wars was built on that story. There's books on that story. And here it is. It's very right in front of your face.
Yep.
It is fun. It's a good adventure. It just doesn't hold up.
Okay. All right, guys, that's it for our review of The Last Starfighter. Thanks for joining us. Real quick, before we get out of here, Jude, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram and on TikTok.
All right, cool. And Matthew Kadish, where can they find you at, bud?
Can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter. Kadishbooks.com takes you to my Amazon page. And don't forget to go to saltynerd.com/rate, RATE. That'll take you to Apple Podcasts, where you can leave us a 5-star rating, because we're trying to get 200 of those suckers in order to get accredited by Rotten Tomatoes as actual movie reviewers. We need 200 5-star ratings. So if you want to support the show, go and do that, and it would really help us out.
All right. And Big T, where can they find you at, bud?
If you really want to reach out, I'm on Instagram, BigT2681. I'm not too active on there, but if you send me a message, I'll say hey.
Okay, cool. And guys, if you want to head over to saltynerd.discord.com, join our community. It's a great place to be. And don't forget, we have a limited time t-shirt available right now that says Global Dynamics, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Head over to saltynerdstore.com and pick that up before it goes away. It's part of our Eureka month we're doing for March. It'll be available for a little while, but then it's going to go away forever. So grab it while you can. And as always, thank you guys so much for joining us every single week. We will catch you next week. And on the S&P Weekly, which I believe we're talking about
Mad Max movie.
Oh, it's Mad Max week, guys. We're talking Thunderdome.
Gotta love Mad Max.
Catch us next week, guys. We'll see you there. Stay salty, my friends.